Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Cleave to Antiquity. My name is Ben, and today I bring you another episode of This Week in Roman Catholic News. I've got a lot of info to share with y'all. This has been a crazy news week for the Roman Catholic Church. I'm technically going to be covering 2 weeks, I think. My time's all kind of jacked up, but I believe it's about 1 to 2 weeks of news coverage that I'm going to give you today. We've got some crazy stories, got carnival masses that we're going to be discussing, some situations with Sam Shamoun, which is kind of interesting. Going to dive into some statements by Suan Sonna in a recent podcast that he did defending Origin, which would be interesting to dive into, and a bunch of other info. We've got female altar servers. We have all sorts of craziness. Crazy appointments to high-ranking positions. This is nothing new, but some of the details will shock you, and you will not be hearing this anywhere else, only on the Cleave to Antiquity channel. So if you are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I will be bringing you the top news stories in the Roman Catholic world and elsewhere. I might be covering some Protestant adjacent content as well, but I'll be bringing you the top news stories all in one show in an easy to digest format. The top news stories for the last 2 weeks. Again, this is not old stuff being scrounged up. This is brand new breaking news that we're going to dive into. Another subject that we're going to discuss today, I'm going to talk about how the news coverage of this channel actually helped a Roman Catholic Church diocese in Argentina, which is awesome. Glory to God for that. So we're going to discuss that and more on today's episode. If you haven't already, go ahead and retweet the post that I put out on X saying that we are going live so we can get some people in the chat here, because this is going to be a crazy show, something that you guys are not going to want to miss out on. So let's go ahead and dive in. I've got a bunch to cover with you today. Hey, thank you so much for starting off the goal. Yeah, today was awesome, man. We're diving into the fasts. I've got my rice protein going, dude. I got somebody at my parish was telling me, you got to hop off the way, hop on the rice protein during the fasts. So that's pretty good. Yeah, we'll talk about some of the SSPX stuff. Some of that is kind of older now, though. This was last week's episode, or the week before that. It was all that SSPX stuff, but we can cover some of that today. I've got a ton to discuss, an absolute metric ton. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I want to pull up, just to start things off on a light note, is this Carnival Mass stuff going on in Germany right now. So we had over for Nativity, they had a kind of alien goo monster Jesus in the German Roman Catholic Church. They had Harry Potter masses that we covered in the last show. This one, they've got carnival masses that are driving some people nuts. People are a little frustrated with this. Let's take a look at this. So this is a clip. This is in Munich. This is one such carnival mass in a Roman Catholic church in Germany. Let's take a look at it. I don't want to get copyright strikes, so I'm just going to play you this thing. You get the point, though. So you've got everybody all nice and dressed up. This is during the Mass, by the way. This couldn't wait until after. This had to be done during the Mass. You've got the rainbow stuff all over the place, per usual, in the German Roman Catholic Church. All sorts of craziness. People dressed up, dancing in the middle of the Mass. This is during the Mass. This is not some extra event, by the way. So this would be during the liturgy. You can see them consecrating the Eucharist, quote unquote, in the same video. This is during the Mass. Why couldn't this have waited? It's couldn't have waited until some kind of like program afterwards or something. They have to do this while they are doing the quote unquote Eucharist and all of this type of stuff. But this actually happened more than once this week. There was another video that surfaced showing another carnival mass today, actually. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Another one today. This is not a joke. another Carnival Mass from a German Roman Catholic church. Yeah, I will admit, much less disturbing than the alien nativity, but still weird. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Why? This is my thing. Like, if you're going to do this kind of wacky stuff, why wouldn't you just do it after Mass? Why does it have to be during it? I mean, you don't have like, I don't know, youth programs or some kind of like arts thing that you can do. I mean, after the Mass, it doesn't have to be while the, priest is standing there consecrating the Eucharist, everybody dressed up like clowns and dancing. Yeah, Lent is upon us. Absolutely, man. I've got my vegan gain stuff going. Got my rice protein. I've got my lentil soup. 20 grams of protein lentil soup. Got to keep up the gains. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part, is getting enough protein in. So we got two back-to-back Carnival Masses in the Roman Catholic Church in Germany. Absolutely insane. We are coming up on what could easily become a schism between the Roman Catholic Church and what would eventually split off from the German synodal way. Now, a bunch of people, we're starting to get some bishops that are talking out against the German synodal way, which is kind of going crazy. For those of you that aren't aware, basically they're going to be able to vote on doctrine. So about 80% or so of the German Roman Catholic priests support skittle stuff. So if they got their way, they would be able to vote that as, something that's no longer a sin or something along these lines. That's the big concern. If you want to see more coverage on that, Michael Lofton actually had a pretty decent breakdown of the entire situation on his channel. So you can check out his discussion on the German synodal way potential schism coming up. Granted, you're going to have some Roman Catholics that are saying that's not actually what's going on, but most of those people just want to cover this stuff up. Before I dive into some of the heavier stuff, I do want to get into some lighter news. So we actually do have a little bit of hope. All right. We got I'm going to give you a little hope pill today. Okay. So we called out something not that long ago. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. We called out something not that long ago that actually ended up helping the Roman Catholic Church in Argentina. So I was sent a tip about a marriage ceremony that had happened in Argentina. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So a Roman Catholic guy sent me this as a tip. And he said, hey, there's something going on in Argentina nobody is covering. Can you make a post about it? Can you get the news out and maybe see if people can cover this stuff? Because basically everybody you reached out to, right, is not wanting to engage with this. They're trying to bury it. So he sent it to me and he said, hey, man, just try not to make it polemical, include the Archbishop's information in here, so on and so forth. I'm not going to share who sent this to me, by the way, private tip. So what I did was I made this post and I included the Archbishop's info here, and I'll talk about what the story is in just a moment. So I included the Archbishop's info here in a way to contact him if Roman Catholics are outraged by it and they wanted to get this corrected. So what the story was, this was February 6th, this was about 2 weeks ago. A transformer couple sealed their love by getting married in a church in Argentina. So basically, there was a priest in Argentina that had married this couple here that are transformers because they're both the opposite biological sex. So he said, good enough, it's okay. So he performed the wedding ceremony, sacramental wedding ceremony, by the way. This isn't fiducia supplicans, Skittles, blessings of the couple situation. This is a wedding ceremony. So big, massive scandal. Nobody wanted to touch this, okay? This was sent to me as a private tip, all right? So I reported on this. This got a whole bunch of traction. I think about 50,000 people. Yeah, 46,000 people, about 93 retweets. People were writing emails, were writing letters, I said, be very, very respectful as you write these letters, because if you actually want change to happen, don't be a troll, basically. Anyway, so consecrated this, or they did this wedding, sacramental wedding of basically these are activists, both of these people. They admitted that they wanted to have this wedding done so that they could push the Skittles agenda, basically infiltrate the Roman Catholic Church, so on and so forth. Almost exactly their exact words, by the way. The article's in Spanish. I had translated to English. They said, "We are a transformer couple who were able to receive the blessing of the church. It's exciting for us because we can bring those who are part of the collective," so their group, "and those who believe and profess the Catholic religion back to the church, show them that not all doors are closed and we can be part of a religious community." He proposed for me to get married at the beginning of December. We were not going to do it for the church because it was something we saw as impossible, but they told us the church was quite open when it came to receiving the community, probably this individual priest. We carried out the procedure like any other. We filed for it, so on and so forth. The priest said, "Because we're man and woman, we can be blessed under the sacrament of marriage," says the Skittles activist here. Okay, so a whole bunch that we could dive into in this article, but that's the main piece there. Okay, so somebody sent this to me as a tip. Something that I've noticed that has been happening a lot in the Roman Catholic Church lately is, oh, hey, raid by Jim Bob. Thank you so much. Awesome. Appreciate it. Jim Bob's the man. Yeah, what's up? What's up? Good to see y'all. Anyway, let's keep going. So, long story short, we've got this kind of transformer marriage in the Roman Catholic Church in Argentina. Somebody sent this to me as a tip. What has been happening since the Epstein-Vatican connection has been made? A lot of people have been trying to cover up as much of this news coverage as possible, and they'll do whataboutism every single time. It's you post a news article related to anything about any kind of scandal in the Roman Catholic Church. It's a whataboutism. They'll post underneath that, oh, well, what about this priest that is, I don't know, was arrested for being a PDF file? Okay, great. What does that have to do with this, right? Like, I don't like that guy either. Good. I'm glad he's in jail. We don't cover stuff up. We're not trying to. So people will bombard you, try to cover this stuff up. News outlets are trying not to cover this stuff. So Roman Catholics are starting to notice this, and they're actually sending me tips saying, hey, please cover this because we actually don't want our church to be subverted by these people. Because if this stayed quiet, right, this probably would have happened again and again and again and again and again. But you know what actually ended up happening because somebody sent this to me and this got a lot of traction? Well, with the amount of people who wrote letters, we actually have a follow-up on this story, which is positive for once. So let's take a look at that, because I posted a follow-up here. Let me see if I can find it. Thought I had it bookmarked. But long story short, we reached out to the Archbishop. We had a bunch of people reach out to the Archbishop, and we got a follow-up saying that they're actually going to pursue canonical disciplinary action on this priest that consecrated this marriage, or that did this sacramental marriage ceremony. So let me see if I can find that, because I post way too much and I don't think I bookmarked it. Hold on one moment. So we have some good news following up on this. Here you go. Breaking update. Yep, here you go. Let me share my screen. So we have this breaking update. In response to the amount of emails and the publicity the story received, the Archbishop will now be investigating canonical disciplinary action for those involved in the ceremony. Praise God. That's right. That's awesome. Thank you for everybody who shared this, by the way, and everybody who wrote an email. Because, you know, as much as we do these news stories and things like this, and the entire purpose of this program isn't necessarily to disprove Roman Catholicism. This is that I'm sick and tired of seeing these stories over and over and over again. Wouldn't it be nice if these things stopped, right? Because not everybody is at that point where they're ready to become Orthodox. Of course, I want all these people to become Orthodox. Absolutely. I'm very transparent about that. Everybody should enter into the one true church. But For those that aren't ready, wouldn't it be nice if their kids weren't raised in a subverted institution where they're marrying transformers and, I don't know, eventually have women priests and all of this stuff? Wouldn't you like to call that out and get this to stop before that happens? Well, great. If you like that, share these stories when they come out, because covering this stuff up almost always makes it worse. Shedding some light on it actually helps, which is why we call out the CIA subversion stuff with the EP and things like this as well. Anyway, here's the actual article. The Archdiocese response. In response to the viralization of the event, they say this is why this is getting corrected, because it got called out big time. The Archdiocese issued an official statement in which it indicated that at no time was the corresponding ecclesiastical documentation received at the Archdiocesan headquarters for the required formalities of the celebration of its marriage. The statement warns that the omission of the essential conditions of the proper celebration of the sacrament distorts its profound meaning. Yeah, absolutely. And generates confusion in the community of the faithful. For this reason, the Archbishop confirmed the opening of a canonical ex officio process to analyze the facts and evaluate possible disciplinary sanctions for those responsible for authorizing or celebrating the ceremony. Praise God. Because how many times do we report on these things and it's something that just ends up getting covered up and is never addressed? This is what happens. Roman Catholics, if you'd like this stuff to change, call it out. I have a ton of respect for guys like Anthony Stein, who calls this out all the time, for guys like Anthony from Avoiding Babylon, so on and so forth. Taylor Marshall usually does a decent job of calling this stuff out. Some people would have you covered up. It makes it worse every single time. Look how much better your church could be if you call this stuff out and ask respectfully for people to write letters to the Archbishop. These people are public. It's not like they're all like secret. You can't, reach these people. They're human beings. So this is the right way to handle this, in a respectful way, right? So thank you for the Roman Catholic that sent me that tip, and for correctly noting that there is a massive cover-up culture going on right now in the Roman Catholic Church that tries to hide this stuff. Hope Respecter, I'm looking at you, instead of actually addressing it. So this is awesome. Let's see more of this, dude. Let's see more of this. So I've got more news to cover with you. I think I had one more white pill, actually. Another thing that, yes, okay, there was another thing that I wanted to bring up that was a little bit of a white pill. Something that we had brought up. Here you go. Boom. All right, so we talk about James Martin a lot on this show. Father James Martin is a very prominent pro-Skittles Roman Catholic priest. Well, guess what? Some Roman Catholics actually took to the streets to call him out and to protest one of his book events that he was hosting. We need more of this. More protests of this guy in particular. The amount of stuff that he says that scandalizes the faithful in the Roman Catholic Church, quote unquote, you get what I'm saying. The amount of stuff that this guy says that is completely off the wall. By the way, AI slop thumbnail by by LifeSite, but whatever. The amount of crazy stuff this guy says, he needs to be called out. It's insane that he's been like Pope Francis's top guy for a long time when he was still alive. And now he's like Pope Leo's top guy. He's flaunting him. He's going out. He's like having meetings with this guy. He's having this. He met with this dude's ministry. He met with the heads of this guy's ministry. Now Leo is meeting with other heads of similar Skittles affirming Roman Catholic ministries. So the lay people in the Roman Catholic Church are having enough, and they actually went out and protested one of his book events. We need this at every event this guy goes to. Like, you want to actually enact some change? You want to actually enact some change in the Roman Catholic Church? Protest every book event, every public appearance this guy has, and get him out of there. I mean, this is what needs to happen. They can ignore online discourse. It's going to be very hard for people to ignore peaceful protests calling out the hypocrisy of raising this guy up to a position like this. Then, even if the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church wants to make the institution way, way, way more liberal than it already is, because right now it is like a top-down push to try to, cram as much liberal ideology in the layman's throat as they possibly can. The best way to counter this: protest, make your voice heard, not just online, but in person. So let's take a look at this. Photos. Dozens of Roman Catholics hold rosary rally to protest Father James Martin talk. Good. Excellent. Don't bury it. Call it out. Be there. Actually push back against this stuff. Despite Arctic wind chills, around 35 Roman Catholics rallied against Father James Martin's talk at Epiphany of Our Lord Church on Friday and denounced his notorious pro-Skittles errors. Here you go. You have the people outside protesting. They have the signs up, so on and so forth, saying this guy promotes Skittles stuff. Yeah, exactly. Love God, hate sin. Father Martin promotes unnatural vice. We protest. You get the point. I don't need to read the entire article, but I just wanted to note that in spite of all of the stuff that we see from people online, like Pope Respector covering this stuff up, there are still some people standing the line, actually pushing back against the modernism in the Roman Catholic Church. Even though right now there's not that many of them. Even in the online space, there's not that many of them. I can think of maybe a couple. Anthony Stein, Taylor Marshall sometimes, if the wind is blowing in the right direction. Anthony from Avoiding Babylon also sometimes. Tim Gordon, I like Tim Gordon. He's a good guy. But anyway, yeah. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. People are screaming in the house. Anyway, so you get the point. So it's good that these people are calling it out. So this I would take this as a white pill. This is good news. I want to see more of this as time continues, as we call out more and more of these scandals and things like this. I would hope that there's actually some kind of pushback to say, hey, let's stop this, and that kind of thing. Anyway, $5 super chat from Unhit Bone. I appreciate it. Jim Bob rating a good stream. God, bless God. Amen. Yeah, bless God. Amen. Oh, you know what? I actually have some news about that guy. Let me find my there you go. Let's do that.
The 66th book, King James Bible, amen. That right there, hallelujah.
So that guy, we were responding to some of his videos, that Nathan Rager, independent fundamentalist Baptist guy, right? And he actually sent me an email, and he wants to have a conversation. Let me gauge the chat. How much, would you guys, if it wasn't a debate, if it was a charitable dialogue, would you like to see a conversation, a charitable discussion talking about orthodoxy with Nathan Rager? Would you like that? Not a debate, a very charitable discussion. Yeah. Because he sent me an email, and he actually doesn't seem like he's too far away from, I don't know. He's far away from us theologically, but I think he may actually be someone who I could possibly speak to about this stuff. I think it could go either way. Either I talk to him and it's a decent chat, it's very productive, or it becomes some crazy thing. But anyway, we get the point. Yeah, watch that. All right, cool. All right, yeah, I think I might reach out to him, because he sent me an email, and we were thinking about maybe setting something up. Usually when I have those types of conversations, I like to have a second person on, but I feel like there's not a lot of people who can be super nuanced and charitable in a discussion like that. I kind of resonate with the dude a little bit, coming from a non-denom background. Granted, we weren't IFB. That's a little more extreme in the other way, but I think speaking as somebody who was a former pastor to a dude that's a pastor now, might actually be somewhat productive, as long as I qualify, hey man, I'm not an authority. And any priest that wants to correct me, feel free to correct me, kind of deal. You know what I mean? But anyway. Yeah, I could do it with Father Stephen DeYoung. I think he might be more blunt than is needed for a discussion with that gentleman. Uh yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. Anyway, all right. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that might be in the works. If I do actually do that discussion with him, make sure that y'all share that video like crazy. Because I want to drive traffic to the more productive content. You know what I mean? The stuff that is actually serving some type of, you get what I'm saying. The stuff that's a little more productive. Anyway, let's dive into some more of this news because I've got a ton to cover. Tomorrow's going to be a good show, by the way. We're going to do a show on Zionism. I'll have a guest on. We're going to be discussing Zionism, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be reacting to some of the stuff that Netanyahu has said 2 days ago, I think. We're going to have Buck Johnson on the show, and we're going to discuss Zionist pastors, some of their teachings, and then we're going to discuss Netanyahu directly. So that'll be an interesting show. All right, but let's dive into the news again. So one of the other major stories here. So recently on a show of mine, we've reported on Sister Brambilla, who is the head of the Dicastery for the religious life, which basically is all the monastics in the Roman Catholic Church. And this was the first woman to be placed over a dicastery in the Roman Catholic Church, period, point blank. So she's over male clerics, which is wrong. But anyway, that's the position the Vatican chose to give her. She recently made a statement that was pretty wild that Info Vaticana reported on, saying that God is a woman. Okay. She's talking about some kind of pagan philosophy that she really liked, saying she really liked that they said God is a woman. She said this is kind of something that she wants to adapt. She used a lot more flowery language in this, but she said we can learn from this God is a woman thing. Anyway, apparently Leo really liked that. So he's going to be getting a promotion here. So let's dive into this story. Pope Leo expands Brambilla's power, direct influence on the appointment of bishops. So she's going to play a key role in not only the dicastery that she's over now, but she's going to be put into the dicastery for bishops, which is a dicastery that chooses every new bishop in the Latin Roman Catholic Church. So Brambilla, who says God is a woman, is now going to be helping to elect and choose and vet who gets promotions in the Roman Catholic Church, who's going to be the new bishop, who's going to be promoted to archbishop. Okay. So that's major news. That's never happened ever. That was a very quick downward spiral there. So you not only had her over monastics, now she's going to be over the selection of the future leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. So if these are the people that are being put in place, the pattern that we see throughout all of this news reporting that I've done so far, I think I've done 6 episodes of Roman Catholic news so far. The vast majority of these news stories are about bad appointments, people who are pro-Skittles, people who are pro-unaliving babies, people who have, just insane ideas, basically religious pluralism. Appointments are about legacy. They're not about changing current teaching or policy. This is about legacy. So to ensure the legacy of this extreme ecumenist, synodal way Vatican, one good way to do that is to put people in place who are going to vet people who have the same ideology that you would like to see going forward. So the appointments that you see Leo putting, in charge of basically elevating these new bishops show the model that he is wanting going forward. And not only was she the, one of the people that was put into this position in the dicastery for bishops, Pope Leo also appointed 2 other very super controversial figures. Kissy Tobin, the one that said "night night, baby." I don't know if you saw the video before. We were reporting on him last week, but basically he did like a boomer moment. He thought he was sending a text, but he actually sent an X post. This is a bishop in the Roman Catholic Church, by the way, cardinal actually. But he said, he said, "Night, night, baby. I love you." And this was supposedly, according to some trads, supposed to be a text to an Italian male actor. So you have Night, night, Tobin, also appointed to the Dicastery of Bishops, as well as Cardinal Cupich, which I'm sure you've heard that name before, another very prominent liberal-leaning Roman Catholic cardinal. So you've got the nightmare lineup from hell set up to oversee the future bishops being elected. I think I posted the article here, but we can read that just briefly before I move on to the next story, because this is major groundbreaking stuff here. The same lady who said God is a woman is getting promoted. And you'll see this time and time again. The people who have the craziest takes, it seems like, in the Roman Catholic Church are receiving these promotions. This is not an accident. This isn't because Leo is incompetent. This is because he's pushing forward Francis's agenda, which is basically the liberalization of the Roman Catholic Church, to widen it, to open it up to a broader big tent type situation. Unfortunately, what's going to end up happening, probably fortunately for us though, as far as numbers go, I don't really want to see the Roman Catholic Church turn into some liberal mess. But it sends more people into orthodoxy, so it depends on how you look at that. Personally, I don't know. I don't want to see the Roman Catholic Church go this like nasty modernist route, but it kind of is what it is. We can call it out. The Roman Catholic Church laymen can call it out on their end as well. Anyway, so let's dive into the story. Leo expands Brambilla's power, direct influence on the appointment of bishops. Pope Leo has appointed Sister Simona Brambilla as member of Dicastery for Bishops, the body that studies and proposes episcopal appointments in the Latin Church. The announcement, officially communicated by the Holy See, confirms the current prefect of the Dicastery for the Institutes of Consecrated Life now adds a decisive area of influence in the governance of the church. Oh, that's one important piece. She's running both, by the way. She's not running the Dicastery for Bishops. She's going to be one of the key figures there, but she is still running the Dicastery for the Institutes of the Consecrated Life, which is monastics, so on and so forth. The official, anyway. Sister Brambilla has held the prefecture of the Dicastery for Institutes of Consecrated Life and Societies of Apostolic Life for a year, an organ which I reported on last year, by the way, an organism in which she had previously served as secretary. Her name has been linked to theological approaches with a feminist bent. We've covered that on the show as well, including expressions such as God is a woman, which we also have covered on the show. This is recent news. This is not old stuff. This is recent news, which introduce a problematic reading of revealed language. Theological tradition has always taught, yada, yada. You get the point. The Bible don't teach God as a woman. Yeah, we get it, Info Vaticana. In the exercise of her role, Brambilla has been associated with restrictive stances in sensitive cases, such as prolonged commissariat imposed on the heralds of the gospel. Under her responsibility in the Dicastery, the process has been maintained without clear resolution for years. I mean, a woman couldn't make a decision, basically. Consolidating a line of firm and inflexible intervention towards that institution. All right, let's look at more people. Members confirmed by the Holy Father into the Dicastery for Bishops. There's quite a few names here. Bishop Parolin, or Cardinal Parolin, that's a familiar name. Secretary of State. Cupich, these would be the main names to look at. Cardinal Blaise Cupich, liberal-leaning cardinal. Kissy Tobin, all right, and then some lesser known figures here. But those would be the three that would be concerning. So these three: Cupich, Tobin, Parolin, and then also Sister Brambilla. These would be the four technically extremely controversial appointments to this position in the Dicastery for Bishops. These would be the people choosing the next leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. So unfortunately, this is a bit of a black pill for the Roman Catholics, because if you're expecting these appointments, say even the next pope, to be more conservative, say even the next cardinal appointments, the next bishop appointment, the next archbishop appointment, if you're expecting these to be more conservative, well, just looking at the list of the people that they're appointing to oversee these appointments gives you a very bleak outlook of what you can expect if you're a Roman Catholic trying to hold on to tradition within this institution. You're going to be in for a very rough ride. So that type of stuff needs to be called out, though, unless there's only so much you can do about that particular situation. Again, like I said, some traditional Roman Catholics are calling this out, like Anthony Stein, who tweeted this just 2 days ago. Color me not shocked. I mean, he's been covering this stuff for a long time. He covers this stuff almost daily. So he's aware of this pattern of bad appointments within the Roman Catholic Church. A lot of people that are pro Skittles, a lot of people that are, basically teaching in complete opposition of any type of Christian morality. These are the people that are getting promoted. So this is his reaction to this news here. Yeah, so unfortunate. A bit of a black pill. I gave you some white pills earlier, so I got to sprinkle in the black pills there as well. But that's just the way that it goes, right? Orthozowski, $2. Insert bald joke, $2 for PayPig. Yeah, I appreciate you helping me out. Thank you for the super chat. God bless you. Uncaged Zebra, $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Help me reach a super chat goal if you like coverage like this. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I do have a super chat goal, 15 super chats this stream. Helps me continue to dive in and stay focused on high quality news coverage such as this. Now, I do have a lot of stories to cover. I know that's a little bit disappointing, but trust me, it actually gets worse. So let's keep going. I've got some interesting news coverage to dive into. One very recent controversy. This was something that a lot of people were talking about today, actually. Just yesterday, there was a appearance of Pope Leo, and he did the mass with 2 female altar servers. Well, our good friend James Martin, Lord have mercy on him, commented on this. He says the following: the use of female altar servers has proven controversial in some U.S. dioceses and among some bishops, but apparently not in the Diocese of Rome or for its bishop, y'all. We got these female altar servers, y'all. Father Skittles, James Martin, he's stirring the pot, dude. I mean, if I was a traditional Roman Catholic, I would be upset. I'd be like, somebody get rid of James. Like, he needs to be excommunicated, kicked out, whatever the case may be. He is stirring the pot. But he is loving this because the actions of this pontificate are feeding right into his agenda. They are in sync, right? Maybe it's because this pontificate has the same goals as Father James Martin. But this was the controversy. So we've got Pope Leo with 2 female altar servers. One, and you'll see another one over here. One person noted that the female altar server really didn't care to be there at all. Didn't really care about the situation. She was wearing Adidas sneakers to serve with the Pope in the mass. She's wearing like Adidas sneakers. She's like, let's take a look. Good grief. Another thing to note, the music is horrific. The music is like a parody. It's like it should be a joke. They're playing like recorder, like an elementary school recorder concert or something. Is that what it is? Penny flutes? It sounds like recorder, dude. It sounds like they're playing plastic recorders. It does not sound good. That's true. It does sound like the fake "My Heart Will Go On," just blasting the recorder, man. So there you have it. You've got the 2 female altar servers there going up serving with Pope Leo. Father James Martin, very happy about this. Apparently, this isn't controversial for the Pope, y'all. We got these female altar servers. That's right. Slay Queen. Go up there. Well, isn't the whole purpose of altar servers to be like a preparation to become a priest? Right? I know at least in many of the Antiochian churches and so on and so forth, they have explicitly said you cannot have female altar servers. I know there's probably some rogue priests out there that go against the canons that somehow slip by discipline, but it is not an accepted practice, right? You might be able to find one or two rogue priests, but in the Roman Catholic Church, for the Pope himself to do this, because I know this is a dispute between Roman Catholic bishops, cardinals, different priests, online figures. Many came out and said, you cannot do this. Cardinals actually came out after this and said, you cannot do this. But for the Pope himself to go ahead and just, whatever, we got female altar servers. Doesn't it kind of defeat the purpose of the position, right? An altar server is supposed to be like prepping you to be either a deacon or a priest. Women can't be deacons or priests. So what is the purpose? Just whatever. You get the point. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Adidas sneakers she chose to wear for the occasion. Lord of mercy. Yeah, that whole situation's a huge mess. A lot of different people commenting on it today and yesterday, but that's pretty much it. I mean, I could talk about it for a while, but that's basically all it is. Pope Leo served the Mass with 2 female altar servers. Expect to see a lot more of that, right? What was like once fringe, now that the head of the entire Roman Catholic Church has done it, this is going to become commonplace. So you're going to see a lot of people really, I don't know. They've already got female Eucharistic ministers, so I guess what does it matter? It is a fast, slippery slope to female ordinations. So we'll probably, I hope we don't, but we might actually see female ordinations at some point. Things are changing very rapidly. Another story that I wanted to cover here on a different subject, something a little more serious that actually requires attention. The Roman Catholic Church in China is being persecuted by the government. The Roman Catholic bishops in China ignore the petitions of these persecuted Roman Catholics and actually end up backing the Chinese government, persecuting their own church members. So this is a story from LifeSite News. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The situation in China and the Chinese Roman Catholic Church is very weird, complicated. They are only able to operate there with the government's blessing. So they've kind of set up this secret deal. Hush, hush, no official documents produced. But what is speculated is that the Roman Catholic Church is operating in China with the go-ahead from the Chinese government, but they have allowed the Chinese government to handpick every bishop. So they are basically consecrating their own bishops. The Chinese government, right, is choosing who can operate as a bishop in China. So that makes the situation super muddy, by the way. So it's not too much of a shock to see the bishops are working with the government against the lay people. But let's go ahead and read the article. Chinese bishops side with communist regime to restrict worship and to ban unregistered clergy. The government-sanctioned bishops in China have backed limits on public worship introduced by the communist regime, supporting a ban on clergy who refuse state registration. This is a story by LifeSite News. EWTN reports the Bishops' Conference of the Catholic Church in China, sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party, supported the government's ban on unregistered clergy engaging in religious pastoral work or doing in unapproved sites for worship. In a February 4th statement, the BCCC stated religious groups must comply with relevant laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Compliance with these rules is a matter of national and public interest, so on and so forth. The CCP introduced legislation limiting religious activity to registered religious venues by certified and registered religious personnel. So basically, the government has to choose where the Roman Catholic Church in China can actually do their worship services. If they don't like that venue, if they don't like who's serving, if they don't like the bishop, basically the government has a complete control over the church in China. So is the Chinese Roman Catholic Church actually under Leo's jurisdiction, or is it more so a fake church propped up by the Chinese Communist government? That's kind of where we're sitting at. That the heads of these entities are the bishops of Beijing and Shanghai, China's most important diocese, is shameful, she says. Pope Leo should immediately summon them to Rome to review their episcopal authority. Yeah, basically. So that's kind of what is being discussed right now. This Chinese church, Chinese Roman Catholic Church, doesn't seem to actually be under the jurisdiction of Pope Leo. This is under the jurisdiction of the Chinese government. It's basically a government institution. Supporting the CCP ban on unregistered clergy and churches directly conflicts with Vatican policy, Shea stressed. Now, bad side about this, right? While the government is actually persecuting the lay people, punishing them, and basically using this as a means to disseminate propaganda to the masses, control the masses even more, Leo may not want to step in and address this in this way. Because if he does, that could end up in them revoking his ability to even have the churches there in the first place, or it could end up in that money no longer being sent back to the Vatican. So they'd be losing a major funding source. So we'll see how he decides to kind of handle this, but this is a huge mess. So basically, you've got entire jurisdictions of the Roman Catholic Church in China that are not actually run by the Roman Catholic Church. They're run by the Chinese Communist government, which is a shame. The officially secret Vatican-China deal signed in 2018 under Pope Francis is believed to recognize the state-approved church in China and allows the Chinese Communist Party to appoint bishops. The Pope apparently maintains veto power, apparently. Although in practice it is the CCP that has control, it also allegedly allows for the removal of legitimate bishops to be replaced by CCP-approved bishops. So again, these documents aren't public, so this is just speculation. So some people are saying the Vatican, this is the deal they've signed. They've allowed the government to basically elect their own bishops. This is what appears to be going on, but they're not actually addressing it. Because when these statements are made, all the bishops are signing with the communists. They're saying, yeah, it's cool that we persecute these people. It's cool that we are restricting worship to only government-approved venues and only priests who are... Now it's not only bishops, right? It's the priests they handpick. So if every single member of the clergy in the Chinese Roman Catholic Church is a state asset, I mean, is that even a church at that point? This is a huge issue. So that's been circulating for quite some time. I want to dive into some other stuff, a little more lighter news. So I saw that, before I do that, let me go ahead and dive into some of these super chats here. Zach, been loving these news streams and the Father Stephen DeYoung streams. Yeah, Father Stephen DeYoung's awesome. God bless you and may he keep using your work for his glory, man. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see. What do I want to give you? I'll give you the vitamin K.
Vitamin K. I said it's found in yogurt and alfalfa sprouts. Vitamin K.
I'm trying to find new soundboard stuff to use for the super chats. If you have suggestions, let me know in the comments, and I'll start looking for some other soundboard effects. We were using the Scream for a while. I might still use that on some that are crazy. Always count on the RCC to try to widen the narrow way. Yeah, Lord of mercy. I'll give you a Scream for that. Anemone, $10. Let's get on this money train. First time I visited my Antiochian parish, I thought they had a girl altar server, and I thought I wouldn't go back. It turns out it's just a very pretty boy. Dude, bro, you probably could have kept that to yourself, man. That's funny, though. I appreciate the super chat. That gets a scream. Who elected Cleve to be George Costanza? I have no idea. I didn't know this was a democracy. You say I am what I am. I am George. I am George Costanza. All right, let's take a look. So I want to dive into this. Sam Shamoun, I guess, has called me out. I don't know what I did, but Sam Shamoun was talking about me in one of his live streams. I thought this was kind of funny. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the drama that's been going on the last couple of days, Trent Horn put a video out talking about Andrew Wilson, saying that, you know, he's a potty mouth. He's like, you know, nasty, whatever. He was like calling him all sorts of names, piety signaling, and saying, Andrew, you shouldn't be using these no words. Don't you understand this? You can't be a Christian and use no words. Is basically the whole point of his video. Again, I have nothing against Trent Horn. You know, we've talked in the past privately. You know, pray for his wife who had brain cancer, all of that kind of stuff. I completely disagree with the piety signaling wholeheartedly. Okay. I don't think anybody should be canceled for language they use. I don't think people should be canceled for even having opinions that are insane to me. For instance, I didn't think Pine Sap should have lost his job for what he said on the Jubilee podcast. I mean, and I'm not even a fan of Pine Sap. You know, the guy doesn't like me very much. But anyway, so this all gets back. He mentions Trent Horn mentioned Sam Shamoun in that video, and he brings up a clip. Let me just bring up the Trent Horn video, because Trent Horn brings up a clip of me. Debating Trent Doherty, which was funny, by the way. I miss that guy. I miss Trent Doherty. He was a funny guy to debate because he just goes bananas. All right, let's look at this. I said I didn't realize I was in the Trent Horn video too, because he had called out Jay Dyer as well, and they had a back and forth on X. But this is what he was talking about me in the video for, which Sam comments on later. I'll show you that. So this is from the Trent Horn piety signaling video. He says, should we be nasty or whatever? Trent is actually not criticizing me. Trent is criticizing Trent Doherty.
For example, Catholic philosopher Trent Doherty has profanely lashed out at his opponents.
Since you have teamed up with a bisexual atheist to defend your theology.
That's a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit move, you piece of shit. You.
And I just shrug. That was such a funny debate, to be honest. So Trent, for those of you that didn't watch this debate, this was a long time ago, maybe 7 months, 8 months ago. Trent Doherty teamed up with Danny. Danny literally changed his name mid-debate to bisexual atheist. So when I stated that this is the logical conclusion of your radical ecumenist view, that you as a Roman Catholic are teaming up with Danny, who is a bisexual atheist, to defend your theology, this is the logical entailment of your radical ecumenist view. This is where it leads to. Trent gets very upset, flips me off, starts crashing out, has a huge meltdown, and he actually ends up stepping away from the online sphere after this. So, you know, do with that as you will. I wouldn't have canceled him for this. I mean, he's a human being. Obviously, this is like a wild way to react to this. But anyway, Trent Horn's calling this out. He's saying Trent Doherty shouldn't have acted like that. Right? I mean, it's a debate. I didn't take it personally. But this was a funny clip. I'll play it one more time.
For example, Catholic philosopher Trent Doherty has profanely lashed out at his opponents.
Since you have teamed up with a bisexual atheist to defend your theology.
That's a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit move, you piece of shit. You.
For example,
so yeah, huge crash out. This was all over X when this debate happened. And he ended up retiring from apologetics after this. I know some of his friends reached out to him and said, hey, look, maybe you shouldn't be doing these debates. He actually challenged Jay Dyer to a boxing match in one of his debates. This was all the Vatican II debates that we were doing back in the day. Again, for those that are new to the channel, I put a pause on debates for a time. You know, now I mostly do news reporting. I do priest interviews, things like this, but I'm putting a pause on the debates. I love debates, but I want to get a blessing to do debates before I do debates. So anyway, back to the story. So Sam Shamoun covers this, and he covers the part that Trent is discussing my discussion with Trent Doherty. But Sam had some interesting and choice words to say about me that were a little bit off. I don't know why he reacted this way to what I said. Apparently, he thought I was in the wrong in that engagement, and he had some very choice words to say about me. So let's take a look at that. And again, for context, I've never interacted with Sam Shamoun a day in my life. I haven't spoken to him ever. Well, that's not true. I spoke to him in the comments of a YouTube video once, and I asked him the Vatican II question, which I could pull up on the screen later. I asked him the classic Vatican II question about the pink elephant with a unicorn horn. The argument goes something like this, because they'll say Muslims and Christians have the same God. Vatican II Nostra Aetate makes you affirm this, right? So back when we were doing these debates, I would ask them the question, okay, so, you know, what's the baseline for affirming that you have the same God? Because there's got to be a line of delineation. Unless you're Trent Doherty. He says there is no line, which is insane. But most of the people say, oh, well, the line of delineation is, well, you got to say it's the God of Abraham. Well, you got to say it's creator of the universe. You got to say, you know, so on and so forth. I say, okay, so I have all of those things, but my version of God is a pink elephant with a unicorn horn. Would you say that it's the same God that you worship? And they always say yes. Don't ask me why they always say yes to this question when it's framed like that, but they do. And that's what Sam said in the comments of a YouTube video once. That's the only interaction I've ever had with him. Okay, I haven't actually spoken to him, but I could probably find that. For you in a second. But let's look at what he has to say about me and Trent Doherty here, because this was shocking.
Now, this guy, you can see he's demonic and demonized. This guy here, cleaved to antiquity is not going to last in orthodoxy. Anyone want to bet me? I'm not a prophet, but here's my prediction. Cleaved to antiquity is not going to last in orthodoxy. All right? He's vile and wicked and likes to trick.
I'm not going to last in orthodoxy. I am vile and wicked. I'm evil maxing over here. Why am I not going to last in orthodoxy? Why am I vile and wicked? Because I asked why Trent Doherty is debating with a bisexual atheist to defend his Roman Catholic theology. That's the unforgivable sin according to Sam, I guess. Let's take a look at what else he has to say.
Trigger people. What he just did was he triggered Trent by attacking this guy for being bisexual, atheist.
Actually, I didn't attack Danny at all. I just pointed out that Trent was teaming up with Danny. I actually respect Danny because Danny stuck around for the entire debate. After this clip, by the way, Trent left his debate partner to finish the debate by himself. Trent left the entire debate. He ran, and Danny had to finish it by himself. I said, Danny, do you want to keep going, dude? Like, we can stop if you want. And he was like, no, we'll keep going. We chatted and we had a conversation, whatever. I've debated with Danny in the past, back in the day on TikTok when I used it for a very brief period of time. I think it was on the Trinity or something like that. But anyway, so I mean, me and Danny, I would say we're on good terms. And I don't have anything against Trent Doherty. But anyway, so he's saying that I'm in the wrong, that I was attacking Danny. I wasn't attacking Danny at all, actually. I actually respect Danny because he stuck around. He didn't run away from the debate mid-debate. And he wasn't the one that crashed out. If you saw his reaction, he's just kind of like, ugh. Like he had the ick too. He's like, oh gosh. He's like, we just lost. That was his reaction. He's like, oh, my debate partner just lost this entire debate for me. That was his reaction. He wasn't upset by the statement. He's a professional debater. He doesn't take that stuff to heart. I don't take it to heart either. You can't engage in the world of debate and dialogue if you have thin skin. You're taking everything personally. Which, I mean, I don't take what Sam says personally. God bless Sam. Pray for him. God bless him. I haven't spoke to him in a day in my life, except for in a YouTube comment section. But God bless him. Let's see what else he has to say. So he says, I'm evil, I'm wicked, I'm not going to last in orthodoxy. Why is that?
This guy for being bisexual, atheist, and saying, you joined with a bisexual atheist in order to then make his case against Catholicism. That's why he got angry. He's of Satan. This is someone of Satan.
He says, I'm someone of Satan.
You want me there? This man is a tool of Satan.
So he says, I'm a tool of Satan for pointing out the obvious. If you notice here, Danny actually changed his name to bisexual atheist mid-debate. He did that as like a gaffe, as like a joke to try to get a reaction out of us. That's kind of that's what he and his debate partner do. Not Trent. He usually debates with some other Skittles atheist dude. I don't remember the other guy's name. I know they were on Piers Morgan a couple of times. They were in Jubilee. Danny is the dude that called out Jordan Peterson, and he was in that Jubilee clip thing or whatever. His whole thing is trying to get a rise out of other people. So he set up, his username or whatever mid-debate as bisexual atheist to see if he could get a rise out of us. I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just point it out then. Trent, this is the logical conclusion of your theology. You are debating and defending your theology with a bisexual atheist. This is an obvious thing to point out. What am I not supposed to point out? The pink elephant with the unicorn horn in the room? But I guess, I don't know. Sam got upset at this. But you know what? I don't take any of this to heart. I don't have anything against Sam. Sam's obviously going through a lot of stuff. So everybody watching this in the comments, everybody watching this live, watching this after the fact, do me a favor, legitimately, because we're entering into Lent. Okay. So this is a time for forgiveness. This is a time for praying for other people. Pray for Sam. Pray for his family. Pray for him to receive peace. Okay. And pray that he becomes Orthodox. He enters into the one true church as well. Because I think a lot of this stuff probably has to do with the fact that he, went the Roman Catholic route. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance that you have to battle in that camp. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. He says, I'm not going to last in Orthodoxy. He says, I'm a son of Satan. What else did he say? I'm going to play this one more time.
Son of Satan. Now, this guy, you can see he's demonic and demonized. This guy here, cleaved to antiquity, is not.
That could be the case. Sam crashes out every Lent. Maybe, the demons are active, dude, during this time period. I've noticed on X, there's a lot of backbiting going on lately, by the way. I'll go back into the Sam clip for just a moment. But I noticed on X, there's a lot of backbiting going on, even amongst Orthodox right now. Be aware. Lent is the time that the demons will try to get you to hate your brother. I'm not saying Roman Catholics are our brother. I'm saying Orthodox. I'm talking to my Orthodox brothers right now. The demons will try to get you to hate your brother. You cannot let them win. Period. Focus on your own flaws, not the flaws of your Orthodox brothers and sisters. That doesn't mean don't report the news. I'm talking about their personal failings, right? I'm not talking about issues within the institution. I'm talking about personal failings. For instance, Billy Bob has an issue with, I don't know, smoking weed or something. And you're telling him during Lent, you're a scumbag, you're not a true Orthodox, whatever, you're smoking weed. Okay. During Lent, don't focus on that dude's sin. Focus on your own sin. Because what the demons will try to do is they will make you revile your brother. Because that's kind of their ultimate goal during this time. So focus on yourself, your own sin. And if you're going to focus on other people, focus on them in a charitable way and pray for them and not, focus on, trying to nitpick their behaviors and things like this. I try not to criticize other Orthodox at all. Public figures, things like this. Latinizers, that's a little different, but you get the point. Anyway, just something to think about for Lent. This is something to be aware of. So Sam crashing out over Lent. Demons are active during this time, so you just be vigilant. That's all I'm saying. And speak to your priest. I'm not some kind of religious authority, just something that I've noticed. I'll wrap this up with a nice bow because I'm kind of ranting a little bit. Wrapping this up with a nice bow. Let's be kind to one another this Lent, Orthodox. Let's be kind to one another. Okay. Let's be more gracious with one another. If you see your brother stumble, help him up, but be gracious, right? Let's be patient with one another. Just like I'm going to be patient with Sam here, because he's obviously going through something. What all did he say about me? Let's see.
Now, this guy, you can see he's demonic and demonized. This guy here, cleaved to antiquity, is not going to last in Orthodoxy. Anyone want to bet me? I'm not a prophet. But here's my prediction. Cleaved to antiquity is not going to last in Orthodoxy. All right? He's vile and wicked and likes to trigger people. What he just did was he triggered Trent by attacking this guy for...
I'm triggering him. Just the language is funny to me. He triggered him. Trent is so triggered right now. I triggered him to flip me off and to say F you by calmly pointing out his debate partner. But anyway,
for being bisexual, atheist, and saying you joined with a bisexual atheist in order to then make his case against Catholicism. That's why he got angry. He's of Satan. This is someone of Satan.
all right, my official response to Sam Shamoun calling me out. I love you, man. God bless you. I forgive you. That's it. That's all you got to do. I mean, this is the season for that. All right. Let's get into these super chats. Ericotta, $10. Love how RCs love to claim they've defeated communism, yet cuck to communists with zero pushback. Some ways they're cucking to Muslims today and claim they defeated Islam in the past. Well, that is a jump to a completely other subject. But yeah, I mean, you do actually see a huge globalist element within the Roman Catholic Church today. A lot of them are pushing mass migration. If you were to go to the USCCB's website, the United States Council of Catholic Bishops, their website, you know what it says? It says, we seek the maximum amount of funding to put refugees from other countries into the United States. We want to relocate these refugees from other countries into the United States. We want the maximum amount of funding for that. And we want to relocate the maximum amount of refugees. The Roman Catholics don't like this being pointed out. They also don't like it being pointed out that Epstein literally funded Catholic charities in the Virgin Islands that was only a hop, skip, and a jump away from where his island was, by the way. What do these Catholic charities promote? Children youth camps. Just saying. So there are some things that need to be investigated in that regard. People don't like the stuff being called out. They don't like light being shined on it. We've covered this in the last video as well. If you like this type of information, this type of coverage, go check out the last video where we cover how Roman Catholic bishops in Spain actually helped to legalize 500,000 illegal immigrants in Spain. They called for it in 2024, that exact number to be legalized. In 2026, Spain does it. So, yeah, huge issue. Unpause the debates, debate the orbs in due time. I do miss them. I do miss doing debates, but all things in due time, in their due season. Colton Beltran, $5. Is Trent related to Melissa Doherty? When I first started looking into the church, I came across her videos. I'm curious of your thoughts on her. No, I don't think they're related at all. I think it's just a common last name. My thoughts on her, I don't have too many thoughts about her. I mean, isn't that I haven't watched her channel too much, so I really can't tell, but I don't think they are related at all. I think it's just a common last name. I've seen a couple of her videos in passing, but I'm not like a fan or follow her work too much. You are vile and wicked. Sounds like you need orthodoxy, to be honest. It's so true. I need the hospital for sinners. Lord have mercy. This is my right side, by the way. Whenever I cross myself, since the video is mirrored, they're like, you're crossing yourself like a Latin. Why are you calling out my friend Billy Bob? Because he's smoking the devil's lettuce. I gotta call him out. Don't you know, Lent is all about pointing out the flaws in everyone else and not working on yourself at all, by the way. That's actually what Lent is. Just to get freaking blasted by the demons during the season. That's a good speed run. Be as judgmental as you possibly can during the season. It's a good way to get freaking wrecked. But yeah. Final witness, $5. Getting baptized soon, and the demons are stirring up. Lord of mercy. Stay vigilant, folks. Yep. Everybody say a prayer for this guy. That's true. When you get closer to baptism, this stuff does happen quite a bit. I mean, go watch any of the discussions I've had with priests on the show where we talk about spiritual warfare, and they will mention that. It's when you first become an inquirer, when you start to enter into the church, when you're getting baptized, and just after, you're going to see things like just crazy things start to happen. The spiritual warfare is real, so keep them in prayer. That's why they pray for the catechumens every single divine liturgy. So it is super important. I took on an ortho today who called you a grifter. I don't, dude. That's like the new buzzword, isn't it? Grifter is the new buzzword. That's just like anybody who I disagree with. I made a meme about that the other day. Let me see if I can find that. I can't play the music though because it will flag me for copyright, which is super annoying. I hate that. But I made a meme about that because everybody just calls anybody they slightly disagree with a grifter. It's got no freaking meaning anymore. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can find that meme. I post way too much on X, bro. Oh, here you go. This is the meme. So I don't care. I mean, people call me whatever they want. I'm a public figure, you know. People are gonna like me or they're not gonna like me. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. How 15-year-old Twitter anons feel after calling someone they disagree with a grifter. They said sour cream is yucky. They mute this. But that's kind of the point, though. The term is completely lost its meaning. I mean, if you're really going to evaluate that claim, you're going to call the dude who literally gave up a paid ministry position, gave up all of his high-level Protestant apologetics connections, Gavin Ortland, Wes Huff. We were in communication about doing some shows together. Was on Ruslan a couple of different times, was going to try to do some stuff with George Janko, possibly. I mean, giving up all of that stuff to become Orthodox, I don't know. That doesn't seem like grifter activity to me. But, I mean, anybody who you disagree with, you can call a grifter. I really don't. I really don't care what people say. God bless that guy. I don't know. Did you ever work in the trades? I see that iron worker pick. Yeah, I was IBEW. I was electrical apprentice for a time. Yeah, I did work in the trades for a little bit. Cool dude, $5. He thinks you sent the orbs after him. Yeah. I sent the orbs after him. It's chasing him down. Sam Shamoun, brother. You're talking smack about me. I sent the orbs to get you, brother. You're going down. I'll see you in the Thunderdome tomorrow. That's how we go on the show, dude. Me and Sam Shamoun, we're gonna do a little jujitsu, dude. We're gonna do some wrestling. Actually, fun fact, I did have a conversation with Trent Horn when I was a Protestant, and we were gonna do jujitsu debates because Trent Horn is a blue belt in jujitsu, and I'm a blue belt in jujitsu. So I was like, he's like, hey, you would you ever want to come to the studio and do we do some rolls and then we do debates? I'd be interested to see if he's still down to do that when I do debates again. I wouldn't mind doing that with Trent. But we were legitimately talking about that in DMs shortly before all that happened with his wife with the brain cancer and stuff like that. Lord have mercy on her. But I think that probably would have been an interesting show. Socrates apologist, $20. James chapter 3 is good to read for me before I speak. Great response, Cleve. God bless you. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Do I have Streamlabs or another dono platform? I and others would rather give you 100% than CommieTube stealing 30%. I use PayPal if you want to check out PayPal, but unfortunately that doesn't pop up for me live in the stream. If you want to support the show in that way, consider sending something through PayPal. They don't take 30%. YouTube does, unfortunately. That does stink, but this is the most convenient way to do it. I could look eventually into some of the other options as well. God bless, guys. Have to get back to work. Hey, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate the support. Let's dive back into some of this news because I've got a lot of Roman Catholic news to cover. So we've covered Sam Shamoun. We've covered the altar girls, the altar server girls. We've covered Sister Brambilla. We've covered the Chinese Roman Catholic Church. This was an interesting story. There was a homily by a Roman Catholic priest that a lot of people were calling out very frustrated by. Robert Nugent posts this on February 11th. He says, and the church wonders why Catholics don't go to Mass. Listen to the words this priest says very carefully, because this sermon is going to blow your freaking socks off. This was a train wreck sermon. This is less than a minute. But listen to what he has to say very carefully. There's a whole heresy after heresy after heresy.
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not what it's about. It's about sharing a meal. There's plenty of times for worshiping Him and so on. That's for some.
Did you hear that just at the beginning?
We don't come to Mass to worship God.
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's how he opens his statement. We don't come to Mass to worship God. Oh, that's bad. Now, granted, that mindset might actually be the mindset of some of the clergy in the German Roman Catholic Church with all the Carnival Masses and Harry Potter Mass and Goo Monster Jesus Nativity. That might be true for them, but I don't know if I want to be making that statement from behind the pulpit. That's rough.
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not what it's about. It's about sharing meal. There's plenty of times for worshiping him and so on. That's for some other occasions.
Worshiping God is for some other locations, not for Mass. Oh, that's bad, dude.
So it is a time for sharing a meal, taking up those words he used at the Last Supper.
It's just a time for sharing a meal.
Take this, all of you, and eat it. How far we went from that. We had people lined along the altar rails and we're feeding them the same way. And I don't mean any disrespect to people, but, you know, we have to say it, feeding people the same way as we feed animals, bringing the Eucharist to them, putting it into their mouth.
So he's comparing people taking the Eucharist to feeding animals. Lord of mercy.
It's the same way as to say we would feed the animals.
So he says, you don't go to Mass to worship God. That's not the purpose. Ain't no worship going on. There's so many things I could say about this. I want to be charitable, though. They make it so hard. I'm like holding myself back. There's so many things that I could say about this. We don't come to Mass to worship God. I think that's probably the mindset of the German Roman Catholic Church. Certainly. Joe Heschmeyer watching this would have a heart attack. Joe Heschmeyer's, all of his whole thing was the Protestants don't worship because they don't have the sacrifice of the Mass. He's saying we don't come to Mass to worship. That's for another occasion. We come here just to eat a meal. So is he denying real presence of the Eucharist? Is he denying transubstantiation? What is going on here? This homily makes no sense. So he says, we don't come to church to worship. That's not the purpose. That's not the purpose of the Mass. We come here to share a meal. It's like feeding animals. This is what he says. Let me hear that one more time. This is just a train wreck, dude.
We don't come to Mass to worship God. That's not what it's about. It's about sharing a meal. There's plenty of times for worshiping him and so on. That's for some other occasions. So it is a time for sharing a meal, taking up those words he used at the Last Supper. Take this, all of you, and eat it.
It's a time for sharing a meal. It's not a time of worship.
How far we went from that.
Somebody in the comments said what I was trying not to say. It's like, that's true. If you want to worship God, go to the Divine Liturgy. I'm trying to be charitable, but it's such low-hanging fruit at this point.
We had people lined along the altar rails and we're feeding them the same way. And I don't mean any disrespect to people, but, you know, we have to say it, feeding people the same way as we feed animals, bringing the Eucharist to them, putting it into their mouths the same way as to say we would feed the animals.
So if you're a Roman Catholic layman at this guy's church, I guess you're an animal. There's no worship going on during the Mass. You're just there to share a meal. Why go then? Go to McDonald's. Go to McDonald's at that point. Why take your time on the Sunday morning and go drive to church if there's no worship going on there, if that's not the purpose of the Mass, right? That's the entire purpose of the Divine Liturgy, is to participate in the Eucharist, to participate in the liturgical worship. That's the entire purpose. It's a sacrifice. It's not about just eating some food. I could eat food at my house. Why do I need to drive there Sunday morning to eat some food? I can cook myself I can't cook myself eggs right now. I can have avocado toast. How about that? Good grief. Yeah, horrible, horrible homily. A lot of Roman Catholics were very upset calling that out. Well, I don't know what he was thinking. let's get into some more news here. So we've got, well, you know what? There were some statistics that were saying that many of the Roman Catholic priests deny transubstantiation privately. So they don't actually believe in transubstantiation. This might be one of those cases. Who knows? You can only speculate at this point. Let's get to the next story here. More Skittles affirming appointments. Pope Leo appoints pro-Skittles bishop Cecchio as Archbishop of New Orleans. He allegedly covered up the abuse of the late disgraced ex-Cardinal McCarrick and supports Father James Martin pro-Skittles ministry. So these are people that are getting promotions. Remember, we were just talking about all of the people being set up to approve these bishops so we can get more appointments like this. Is this any shocker that Dicastery is appointing people like this to be the next cardinals, to be the next archbishop, so on and so forth? He's the new archbishop of New Orleans. Let's take a look at the article here. Pope Leo appoints bishop linked to McCarrick, Father James Martin, to New Orleans Archdiocese. And this is what I was talking about, right? The people who are linked to this guy, the people who support the same stuff that James Martin supports, seem to be getting promotions. They seem to be getting pushed to the front. Okay. This doesn't seem to be something that is on the fringes, an outlier, something that the Pope doesn't actually support. It seems like he supports it quite a bit because these same people keep getting promotions in the Roman Catholic Church. They're being elevated to cardinal, archbishop, so on and so forth. So where the opposition is really going to come from is going to come from the lay people, like the people who are protesting Father James Martin. So if you are a Roman Catholic watching this and you're not quite ready to jump the ship over to, the one true church, Orthodoxy, come on in, the water's warm. But you're not quite ready to do that. One thing that you can do to make your church less of a complete train wreck in the near future is to basically call out these appointments and not cover them up as if it's no big deal. Because one thing that I see from especially the more Pope-splainy type accounts like Pope Respecter, he was saying that Bishop Hicks, the guy that talks with a lisp, he was saying, what did he say? He said, I love New York pizza. I love your New York sports team. And I love your pizza. That guy, Pope Respecter was trying to say that guy was based in trad. Don't cover up for these people like that. That's so stupid. You're just going to eat crow 2 seconds later. The same dude Pope Respecter was saying was based in trad, the Bishop Hicks dude, came out literally like a day or two after that his assistant basically went to a Skittles wedding and one of his other assistants quit to go and marry a man. And that his entire inner circle was basically Skittles. And Pope Respecter was saying, this guy is a based trad. Don't do that, guys. You're just going to end up looking stupid. Granted, I mean, if your entire objective is to deceive people, to keep them in this institution, I guess what Pope Respecter is doing would probably work for some people that don't look past the blanket statements. So if you want to lie and you want to be a deceiver and you want to send people to hell, that might be a good way to do it. All right. But anyway, if you want to be on the side of God, though, calling this stuff out is a good way to do it. 33 years as a priest, Cecchio, 59, has allegedly covered up the abuse. Common theme today, covering up abuse, covering up scandal of the late disgraced ex-Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, and has expressed support for Father James Martin and a dissident pro-Skittles ministry. Not so dissident since Pope Leo actually endorsed it now. Cecchio will initially serve as coadjutor archbishop alongside Archbishop Gregory Aymon, but will succeed Aymon as the next Archbishop of New Orleans upon his retirement. It is with great hope for the future of our archdiocese that I share the news that Holy Father Pope Leo has appointed Most Reverend James F. Cecchio of the Diocese of Metuchen as coadjutor of Archbishop of New Orleans. So he's the co-archbishop, basically. Aymon said in a statement. After Cecchio's ordination to priesthood in 1992, he served in various parishes within the Diocese of Camden, New Jersey, held diocesan administrative roles, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, let's get to the important pieces here. It was also during his tenure that then Cardinal McCarrick was allowed to stay at the college during the 2013 papal conclave, despite allegations and rumors of his SA of seminarians surfacing among the clergy. So this guy that's receiving a promotion helped McCarrick stay in his position, helped McCarrick stay and participate at the college during this 2013 papal conclave. So he's staying at the college that this dude who's getting a promotion served at, despite all of the allegations of his abuse of seminarians at the same college. So he helped him stay there and abuse more young men. Lord of mercy. In 2016, Cecchio was appointed as bishop of the diocese of Metuchen by Pope Francis, so he received one promotion shortly after covering up for all of this stuff. McCarrick, the founding bishop of the diocese, was notably front and center at Cecchio's episcopal consecration. So he's a strong supporter of this gentleman. As bishop, Cecchio would have been responsible for reviewing the diocese's past SA settlements, which included two settlements the Metuchen and Newark diocese paid between 2005 and 2007 to priests allegedly abused by McCarrick, totaling $180,000. So abuse cases in 2005 and 2007 confirmed basically these priests were abused by McCarrick seminarians, right? These are people that are wanting to be Roman Catholic priests, which unfortunately there's a huge Skittles culture in the Roman Catholic seminaries. This is admitted by previous popes who've wrote this in their writings to actually be released after their own death. This is such a scandalous topic to bring up. Former popes have written about this. So pray for the people who are discerning Roman Catholic priesthood. Some of these young, deceived young men, like who's the guy? Iron Inquisitor is a Roman Catholic seminarian right now. He was a influencer, Roman Catholic influencer. Now he's a seminarian. Some bad stuff happens in these Roman Catholic seminaries, so keep him in your prayers that this type of stuff doesn't happen to him. So McCarrick abused these young seminarians. Cecchio covered it up. Cecchio gets 2 promotions out of it. That's basically the whole story. So he gets the promotion, so on and so forth. In August 2018, after decades of abuse allegations against McCarrick came public, so all of these became public. Many on the inside were aware of them, such as this gentleman here, Cecchio. But they all kind of boiled up to the surface. You could only cover up this stuff for so long. When it finally boiled over, it was about 2018. So after decades of abuse allegations against McCarrick became public, Cecchio wrote in a diocesan statement that he was saddened and ashamed by reports of the abhorrent events which we have been learning about in regard to then Archbishop McCarrick. But he was informed of these in 2013. So he knew this already. But he wants to save face. Support for Father James Martin and pro-Skittles groups. The new Archbishop of New Orleans has also been shown to support for heterodox Jesuit priest Father James Martin. He's not actually heterodox according to the Roman Catholic Church. He's a priest in good standing. But LifeSite News uses some flavorful language sometimes. In 2018, he invited Martin to speak at the diocese and even extended an invitation to his private residence before the talk. So he's going to have James Martin over at his house. Ugh. Anyway. Indeed, Martin appeared to express approval at Cecchio's New Orleans appointment, reposting the USCCB's announcement via X. That's a good way to tell who's a bad appointment, by the way. Sometimes in my research for these news stories, I will just go and see who Father James Martin reposts as like congratulating them for getting their position. And I know there's going to be a whole bunch of dirt on these people because he only reposts the most corrupt, nasty, pro-Skittles people. All of the conservative ones that get appointed, which is practically nobody, he doesn't repost. He retweets all these super liberal appointments. But granted, I couldn't name you a single super conservative appointment yet. You might be able to. If you are, let me know. I haven't seen one since I've started this series, which I've done, 6 episodes so far, and this is a weekly show. Anyway, so you get the point. Long story short, this gentleman who helped to cover up abuse scandals, who let someone who was accused of abuse remain at the seminary to continue abusing these seminarians. Someone who is a proponent of Skittles ideology, who supports James Martin and his whole thing. He's getting promoted to Archbishop. Are we really surprised? No, this is consistent with the theme of these appointments so far. Anyway, another news story indicating, just Father James Martin tweets out the craziest stuff. I figure I'd discuss one of his tweets here. So he had something to say about the Jews. James Martin says, this must be said over and over. The Jews did not kill Jesus. Wait a minute. What? The Jews did not kill Jesus. This is what he says. Only the Roman authorities, specifically Pontius Pilate, the procurator, had the power to put someone to death in first century Judea. The Roman authorities then killed Jesus, who was, of course, Jewish. I don't know that Father James Martin has read the Bible, dude. That's what a lot of people were saying in the comments here. Wagner says, St. Paul, he's citing scripture out of the Jews who killed both the Lord Jesus and the prophets. Father Calvin Robinson, my mutual on Twitter, why do you deny and contradict the sacred scripture? The Jews who killed both the Lord Jesus and the prophets who persecuted us, they do not please God and are opposed to everyone. Another person brings up, Pilate washed his hands and said, I am not guilty of the blood of this man. And the Jews said, may his blood be upon us and our children. Dude, may his blood be, yeah, if he's actually innocent, may his blood be upon us. May we be at fault for his death. This is what they said of themselves. So, I don't know. You've got to be completely biblically illiterate. Or you're not illiterate and you just want to push this kind of leftist nonsense narrative. The Jews didn't actually kill Jesus. This must be said over and over and over. The Jews did not kill Jesus. Only the Roman authorities, specifically Pontius Pilate. You mean the guy who washed his hands of the whole situation? He's the one that did it? Not the Jews who said, let his blood be upon our heads if he's innocent? Who the Bible literally says killed Jesus? The procurator had the power to put someone to death in the first century of Judea. The Roman authorities then killed Jesus, who was, of course, Jewish. So complete nonsense, horrible theology from Father James Martin. But are we really surprised with all of the stuff that he pushes in the Roman Catholic Church, his pro-Skittles ideology and things like this? No, I'm not surprised at all. All right, so I have a couple more news stories here for you today. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Yeah, this was a bad one. So this is the guy. Okay, this is going to be an interesting news story. This is the guy who Pope Respecter was saying is a based trad. This is an excellent appointment. Don't listen to those guys that are saying this guy is some kind of, Skittles guy. Don't say this is a bad appointment. This guy's a base trad, defender of the faith, peak masculinity, peak Roman Catholic appointment, holds the line of Christian morality. This is the same guy that Pope Respecter was defending. Here we have Bishop Hicks, the new New York Archbishop, quotes Skittles activist during his installation. So he's, I think I had a video of this. Let me see if I can find the video actually, instead of just reading the article, because he sings freaking Bad Bunny. He sings Bad Bunny during his installation. This is like his thank you speech. He's quoting Bad Bunny. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. So this was bad, dude. I didn't save the video, but I'm sure I can find it. Hold on. Bishop Hicks. Oh, Archbishop. That's why. Archbishop Hicks. Bad Bunny. Oh yeah, here you go. So here's Here's Bishop Hicks singing Bad Bunny at his acceptance speech. This is your base trad, by the way. This is your base trad. This is a perfect appointment according to Pope Respecter. I mean, anybody still listening to Pope Respecter needs to, I mean, they should not be allowed to vote, I think, at this point. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Si te quieres divertir con encanto y con primor, solo tienes que vivir un verano en Nueva York. Concrete jungles where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
So he sings the Bad Bunny lyrics. Those of you that don't know, I mean, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I don't really watch sports ball. I don't watch sports ball. I think it's kind of a waste of time. But for those of you that do, the Super Bowl halftime show had, I guess, Bad Bunny. I saw some things on X where they had like, I mean, it's just a Skittles nightmare. He was supposed to do this thing where he was going to come show up in a dress. I don't think he actually ended up doing that, but they had like guys like grinding on each other during the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just like, it's disgusting. Nick Fuentes was saying like, these are my people. I mean, I'm sure Nick Fuentes is joking, you know. He's probably trolling people, but he's like, these are my people. This is, this is great. I'm sure he's trolling, but this is another thing for somebody who's a little more tongue in cheek, like Nick Fuentes, to joke about Bad Bunny being some kind of like, I don't know. It's like, this was awesome, or whatever. And then the actual Archbishop of New York, Bishop Hicks, who is already under suspicion for his previous entire administration, basically was Skittles. His former assistant quit to go marry a man. Okay. His vicar general quit to go marry a man. And another bishop literally went to go attend the Skittles wedding of his former vicar general. So his entire, his entire administration is full of these people. And then he's quoting these people during his installation, and he's still talking with that sassy lisp. I mean, how many signs do you need?
Si te quieres divertir con encanto y con primor, solo tienes que vivir un verano en Nueva York. Concrete jungles where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Now you're in New York. So this was going around. Archbishop Hicks, the new Archbishop of New York, quoting Bad Bunny. I guess he's a big fan. But is anything surprising at this point? No, unfortunately not. Nothing is surprising at this point. So that was the base trad, according to Pope Respecter. Again, anybody who is still supporting Pope Respecter or listening to what he has to say, I think shouldn't be able to vote at this point. All right, a white pill. All right, here's a little palate cleanser. A little bit of a white pill here. People actually calling out, Roman Catholics actually calling out some of the issues. So big thumbs up to Lepanto Institute for reporting on this and for calling on Pope Leo to laicize and suspend from ministry a New Mexico priest who entered into a Skittles domestic partnership. He started dating a dude for 10 years during 28-year leave of absence from the priesthood. So he took a little breaky poo from the priesthood, came back and became a priest. All right, this guy took a little break. He said, this priest stuff's a little difficult. I'm going to take a little break. During that break, he started dating a dude, and then he came back, and he's serving an active ministry now. So Lepanto Institute is calling on this guy to be laicized. Let's take a look at what they had to say about it. So Lepanto Institute calls for Pope Leo to laicize New Mexico priest over Skittles domestic partnership. So there's the priest there, Father Stephen Rosera. And let's read the article. Lepanto Institute has formally requested that Pope Leo laicize and suspend from ministry a New Mexico priest who entered into a Skittles domestic partnership for 10 years during a 28-year leave of absence from the priesthood. Lepanto sent a copy of its August 2025 report on Father Steve Rosera. of the Archdiocese of Santa Fe, New Mexico, along with the notarized quote-unquote divorce documents of Rosera and his partner. So he got married. So this guy got married to a guy while he was on a break, I guess. While he was on a break, this guy got married to a guy. So Lepanto sent a copy of its August 2025 report on Father Steve Rosera of the Archdiocese of Santa Fe, New Mexico, along with the notarized divorce documents of Rosera and his partner. So he married a man, got divorced, and then came back and serves as active clergy. Issued by the Superior Court of California for the County of San Francisco to the Papal Nuncio in the United States. His Eminence Christophe Cardinal Pierre. This followed a recent in-person conversation with the Nuncio in which Lepanto brought the scandal to his attention in Washington, D.C. So they brought this up to the attention his attention in 2025. His Eminence Christophe Cardinal Pierre. And I guess nothing was done. So you've got this guy, Father Steve Rosera, Roman Catholic priest, gets married to a man and comes back. So now Lepanto is calling for his basically to be defrocked. Lepanto requested of the nuncio that the report and court documents be delivered in person via the apostolic pouch to Pope Leo. With the request of the Holy Father impose canonical penalties incurred by a priest for grave violations of the vow of celibacy, suspension from ministry, and laicization. So they want to laicize him, basically. The request comes after more than 6 months of inaction on the part of Rosera's immediate superior, Archbishop John Wester, following Lepanto's exposure of the scandal through the publication of the court's divorce documents. So that's how they found out. They found the guy's divorce documents when he was divorcing this man, and brought that to the attention of the Archbishop. The Archbishop did nothing. They'd rather cover it up. They don't want to do any action. So now the only real step forward for these people is to go, well, they could have probably gone to a cardinal, but go to the Pope himself. So that's what Lepanto Institute is doing. They're asking for these documents to be handed directly to Leo and for Leo to handle this scandal. Well, the only way that this actually gets action is if people share this story and bring some attention to it. So if you are a Roman Catholic and you're watching this and you would like to enact some positive change within your own church, perhaps consider following Lepanto Institute on X, retweeting their posts on this particular subject, and calling some attention to this issue. Notice how many Roman Catholics have been speaking about this topic. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen any Roman Catholic report on this? I haven't seen anybody reporting on this besides Lepanto Institute themselves. So it seems like this is going to be another cover-up situation with no action taken. If you want to prevent that from happening, share the Lepanto Institute's request for this priest to be defrocked, because absolutely there should be no priest that was in a Skittles marriage while he was on a break allowed to come back and serve an active ministry. Hey, what's up, Octavian? Good to see you, man. God bless you. Always good to see you in these streams, man. So there's a little bit of a white pill, some action being taken, possibly, at least a Roman Catholic organization not trying to cover it up. So hopefully that actually results in some action on the part of the Pope himself. I mean, that's a tall order, dude. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult to get the Pope himself to do something than, say, an archbishop, like in the case of that wedding that happened in Argentina we were talking about earlier. So who knows? All right. I'm going to talk about Voice of Reason for a little bit because he's back in the news this week. Voice of Reason, as we know, has been forbidden by his bishop to make videos that are public facing. He came out and said, as a way around that, what he's going to be doing is he's going to be publishing videos to his Patreon only. Okay, publishing videos to his Patreon only. That has not been the case. He's been making many videos going on other people's channels and uploading videos there. So he's appearing as guests across all of these different channels to try to funnel them back to his Patreon. Okay, a lot of people were pointing out this doesn't seem to be what your bishop told you you could do. Your bishop said you cannot cause scandal while making public videos. This wasn't limited only to your own channel, but he kind of, I guess, I don't know, the verbiage was a little weird because he's doing some like Talmudic stuff with what his bishop has said. And some people were calling this out. So
you are listening to.
Sorry. Just Bree Stolzan calling this out. Quote unquote, ha 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 ha. I'm coming to you from my friend's YouTube channel because ha ha ha, my bishop won't allow me to be on my YouTube channel. Isn't that funny how I'm playing my bishop for a fool and mocking the idea of obedience and consequences? Let's take a look at what Voice of Reason said. So this was on a video that he appeared on somebody else's channel. This is his statement.
Lord of Jesus Christ, you are listening to Roots of Faith, Voice of Reason, Ish of Arabia, and welcome to, not my YouTube channel, because I'm not allowed. Welcome to Roots of Faith, Lord of Jesus Christ.
He said, welcome to not my channel because I'm not allowed. Welcome to his channel because this is the Talmudic loophole that allows me to continue to make content, even though my bishop told me to stop. So let's see that one more time.
You are listening to Roots of Faith, Voice of Reason, Ish of Arabia, and welcome to, not my YouTube channel, because I'm not allowed. Welcome to Roots of Faith, Lord of Jesus Christ.
Good grief. I kind of want to go look at that video. Some of the other statements that he made in this. Not only is he mocking his bishop, right? Imagine being his bishop watching this video. It's like, oh, so that's how you want to do it then. I gave you a command saying you need to stop scandalizing the faithful by making these public videos. So you take that as, oh, I just can't upload to my own channel, but I'm going to go around the corner. As long as my body allows me to upload videos on his, I'm going to go and appear on everybody else's channel, which is what he's been doing, rather than what he said initially, which was he was just going to upload to Patreon. So he's mocking his bishop's decision, basically. Let's take a look at this. This is another segment here. Major Ann says, somebody want to tell voice of Gooning, this is the exact logic that perpetuated the abuse crisis among the clergy. Voice of Reason had some interesting takes. He's upset that people called him out for his abuse. He's not upset about his own action. He's upset that people called him out, and he's saying, these people shouldn't have called me out. They should focus on themselves. Let's hear what he had to say about that. This is despicable. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about cover-up culture. We talk about this all the time on the show. Cover-up culture doesn't work. It makes things worse. Okay? But this is prevalent in the Roman Catholic Church. They want to cover it up. It is prevalent in their apologetic spheres. It is prevalent in their hierarchy. All right? Rather than addressing the issues, they want to cover them up. They want to move these priests around. They want to do ABC 1, 2, 3. Rather than addressing the actual issue here. So let's look at what Voice of Reason says.
No, as Christians, we don't do cancel culture. We do cover culture. He said.
Did you hear that? As Catholic Christians, we don't do cancel culture. We do cover culture. From the horse's mouth.
No, as Christians, we don't do cancel culture. We do cover culture. He says, never forget that it is a sin for you to uncover the nakedness of your brother. You are.
It's a sin to cover or to uncover the sin of your brother. Don't call out your brother's sin. Don't call out when I am abusing my position. I'll put my Voice of Reason hat on. Don't call out when I'm texting these girls about their plump booties. Do not call this out, right? So what he's doing is he's abusing his position as a catechist to take advantage of these women. I pray the guy repents, right? That's already been called out, already been exposed, but he's showing an unrepentant heart here, and he's saying, look, we do cover culture in the Roman Catholic Church. We don't do cancel culture. We don't do this exposing this stuff to the light of day thing.
You're expected to cover your brother's nakedness and to not put him to shame publicly. When you could cover his nakedness, you could deal with the situation privately, and you respect the honor and the dignity and the good name of because we're all entitled.
So he says, you are expected as a Roman Catholic to cover up the scandals that your brothers commit. So when he's abusing his office as a catechist, when he's abusing his position and going around and picking up these women and giving them rides home, when he's texting multiple women and having these affairs with them, you're expected to cover this up and to just talk about it in private. Well, the problem is that's what happened initially. People were talking to him about this in private, and it got made public. I mean, it is what it is.
Entitled to a good name. He said, you have to cover the nakedness of your brother, of your sister. Right?
I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing?
I'm so sorry.
So he says we do cover culture. Cover up culture in the Roman Catholic Church. We don't do cancel culture. I completely disagree. I think you have to report on objectively what the issue is. Obviously, if this is a situation where it's an individual's thing and you know the person, right, and they have a failing, a moral failing, you approach them in private. That is true, right? But it doesn't mean you cover up for them. It doesn't mean you cover up for them and allow them to remain in their position where they're abusing people. Right? That's a complete different thing. You do want to approach them and say, hey, look, I know this is going on, right? This needs to be addressed. You need to repent. You need to stop. Okay. That doesn't mean you allow them to continue doing what they're doing, being some kind of public figure, being some type of person out there who is, has access to catechumens, impressionable young women who are interested in the Roman Catholic Church, for him to, basically predate on them as well. No, you don't do that. That's like what the person we were just talking about, the archbishop that just got promoted, he was covering up for the other archbishop who was preying on the seminarians. Right? He allowed him to stay in his position, and what happened? More of these seminarians were abused. So no, I don't agree with Voice of Reason. We do cover up culture. No, cover up culture doesn't work. This is what perpetuates abuse, perpetuates further issues. You want these issues to be resolved, you actually have to call them out.
No, as Christians, we don't do cancel culture. We do cover culture. He says, never forget that it is a sin.
That's a good point, Final Witness. Absolutely. Yeah, if you're a public representative of the church, absolutely. Yep.
For you to uncover the nakedness of your brother, you are expected to cover your brother's nakedness and to not put him to shame publicly. When you could cover his nakedness, you could deal with the situation privately, and you respect the honor and the dignity and the good name of your, because we're all entitled to our good name. He said, you have to cover the name.
We're all entitled to our good name. No, dude, your actions affect your name. This is not like, I mean, there's so much that you could pick apart here. We're all entitled to our good name. This is my right. You're infringing upon my rights. If you're a Roman Catholic, we engage in cover-up culture. We don't engage in cancel culture. If you're exposing me, then you're the one that's sinning. No, actually, if you engage in the cover-up of massive scandals like this, you actually share in the sins of that person. It's the exact opposite. Mike Winger actually had a good statement about this not that long ago, which I might be able to pull up. I thought was actually right on the money when it comes to exposing these cover-ups and these scandals and things like this. Because if you're not aware, Mike Winger's been doing this whole series where he's been diving through the charismatic movement. Let me see if we can pull this up. He's been diving through the charismatic movement and exposing many of the abuses there. And some of these abuses are just absolutely insane. Where's this post? I wasn't planning on covering this, but cover up. Cover up. Let me see if we can find this. Hold on. Give me just one moment. Mike Winger. I hate the search tool on X. Sometimes it just doesn't pull anything up. It's really obnoxious. Anyway, Mike Winger basically said, long story short, if you're complicit in the cover up of these massive scandals that actually impact families, like For instance, in the charismatic church, there were false prophets. Basically, they were saying they would get together with these guys. The guys would say, "Hey, I want to marry that woman in the church." So the fake Pentecostal dude would go over and say, "God is giving me a message. You got to marry that guy, right? This is my prophecy. You got to marry that guy. He's brought you two together. This is who God wants you to marry." And he would preface this with a bunch of stuff he found out on Facebook beforehand. So he would say, your sister is this person, your father is this person. I've never met you, yada, yada, yada. But God is revealing all this to me. By the way, God wants you to marry this dude. So then these women, they're persuaded. They're like, oh, like God wants me to marry this person. And then these guys end up being abusive towards these women. They're beating them, all sorts of stuff. And they just stay, because they're like, well, God told me. God told the guy that I had to, be married to them. So, I mean, these are the type of stuff Mike Winger's calling out. He's saying if you are engaging in cover-up culture, you're actually sharing the sins of the people who are perpetuating these acts. And I tend to agree. I think it's vile. I think it's wicked. And I think that is exactly what people need to understand regarding the Roman Catholics that are trying to cover up the Epstein Files Vatican connection. Because that was actually the context of one of Trent Horn's videos, just prior to the one where he was calling out Jay and Andrew Wilson and a couple of other people. The video just before that was him calling out, actually, I think it was me. I think he was calling out me in a roundabout way. I'm going to pull that up, actually, because that was an interesting point that they were making. Because his most recent video was this. I'm going to share this tab. So here's Trent's channel. His most recent video was, okay. Oh, hold on. That's annoying. Okay, so this was the one where he played the clip of me in the debate, and he's responding to Andrew Wilson. We already discussed this. But the video just before that was this, Epstein in the Vatican. Epstein at the Vatican. So he's basically saying that these are all conspiracy theories, that the ties of Epstein being at the Vatican, this being in the files is fake because I just don't think it's plausible. That was his entire argument. And then he does two throwaway, like chick track conspiracies to kind of hand wave the one legitimate criticism. But in the comments here,
The Vatican.
in the comments here, people realized and recognized that he's actually talking about me. So let's see here. Hold on. Where's that comment thread? Is it still there? Somebody remove that? I don't know why I can't find that comment anymore. Maybe that guy deleted it. Maybe that dude realized how wrong he was and he deleted it. So there was a guy that was like the top comment on this video. Can I show top? Interesting. All right, I'll just tell you about it. There was a guy that was a top comment on this video. He basically said something along the lines of, oh, you know what? I called Cleave to Antiquity out on sharing the Epstein file stuff, or I called him out on sharing these news stories like this, and he's like a crazy conspiracy theorist, basically is what they were saying. This was like the top comment, #1 comment on this video. They were saying his news reporting is all conspiracy talk, so on and so forth, basically trying to cover up the stuff that I'm reporting on and tying this into this Epstein thing, which is stupid. His whole argument, Trent, all respect to him, was very bad. He said, oh, the Epstein Vatican connection, it's a conspiracy because there's not enough evidence to point to this definitely happening. Well, that doesn't mean it's fake. That just means there's not a lot of evidence for this one instance. But you add all of these things up, there certainly is a connection between Epstein and the Vatican. The particular FBI, or the particular document that he points to, is a FBI document talking with an informant who happened to be like an architecture guy for Epstein. And it was a communication between this architect dude who was doing remodeling or whatever, between him and a third party, saying, oh, okay, well, I got this idea for these pillars or whatever. Epstein told me about this. This is intercepted communication. Epstein told me about this. from his time staying at the Vatican with Pope JP2. Okay, so this is just what the files say, period, point blank. It's not a conspiracy that the files say this. All right, so that's what we reported on. The files say this. Okay, whether or not Epstein actually stayed in the Vatican, lived there, right? Or he got this from his time visiting the Vatican and had a conversation with JP2, or maybe this is some sort of an embellishment. I don't know, because I'm not Epstein, right? Thank God. But for Trent to say this is a conspiracy theory is absurd, because this is literally what the files say. So to say that the files say this and indicate this is in no way a conspiracy theory. That's just what they say. Now, whether or not he actually lived there and I don't know, moved in and was staying there for, a period of a couple of years or whatever, is it possible? They do have apartments for such a thing. Sure. Some people were saying, no, there's nowhere for them to stay. Like, yada, yada. No, they have papal apartments. You can stay in them. But to say that this is a complete impossibility is nonsense. Anyway, person in the comments was saying something along the lines of, Cleave to Antiquity is a conspiracy theorist, yada, yada, yada. I called him out on X, and he blocked me. So I block like anonymous accounts with under 50 followers if they're like some kind of troll or whatever. But come to find out, the thing the guy blocked me for, or the thing the guy called me out for, was me reporting on the Argentinian wedding thing. He was trying to cover up for the Argentinian wedding thing, the transformer wedding that happened in Argentina, where the news coverage that we shared actually ended up helping the Roman Catholic Church. He was trying to say it's a fake, crazy conspiracy, which is stupid and not at all true. So the things that they're trying to call me out for and trying to, say that I'm some kind of conspiracy theorist for are confirmed by their own archbishops and are actually getting disciplinary action because of the coverage that was done on this show. So you're welcome. Thank you. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. A little bit of a connection here. But somebody was saying that one of the reasons that Trent wanted to call out some of the Ortho Bros online in the subsequent video is kind of whataboutism because of some of the things that were revealed in the Epstein files. So he made this video calling the Vatican-Epstein connection a conspiracy. Several of his followers said, yeah, that Cleave to Antiquity guy's calling out the Epstein-Vatican connection. He must be a crazy conspiracy theorist. He blocked me when I told him it was fake news about the transformer Argentinian thing, which is not fake news at all. And actually is the priest is actually probably going to get canonical disciplinary action taken against him. So praise God for that. Anyway, yeah, the cover-up culture is absolutely insane. You will see counter-signaling out the wazoo for anything even closely adjacent to the Epstein files in the Vatican. They don't want any connection being made there at all. All right, let's get into some Protestant stuff, because I thought this was extremely disturbing. This one's about the Church of England. So let me pull this up on the screen. I say the Church of England, I shared this on February 8th. The Church of England is beyond saving. Let them all close. Don't give them a single cent. Somebody shares this. What is happening to Christianity in England? This is from St. Mark's Church in Southend-on-Sea. So, Lord of mercy. I don't know if I want to make that image front and center on this, because it might take down my entire stream. But they say, Happy Ascension Day to those who celebrate. I love this transformer image of Jesus ascending with top surgery scars. Some schizophrenic drew Jesus with top surgery scars at the Church of England. I guess they're showing this in the Church of England church. Happy Ascension Day to those who celebrate. I love this transformer image of Jesus ascending with top surgery scars alongside the scars on his feet. Both disability theology and transformer theology holds a theology of scars that bring together the paradox of being both scarred and whole. What? Jesus' resurrected body shows his scars from his life and crucifixion. And our scars bear the marks of being a transformer, basically. The name of this artwork that is being displayed in a Church of England church is called The Ascension of Queer Christ. Oh, gosh. What a mess, dude. Horrible. By Guy James Whitworth. At this point, the Church of England just needs to shut down, dude. So you've already got female archbishop who is Skittles. You've got all sorts of stuff that is going on in this institution. They've got depicting Jesus as a transformer with a transformer flag wrapped around him with top surgery scars. I mean, this is beyond blasphemy. This institution just needs to be shut down. Honestly, as much as we report on the Roman Catholic Church and the corruption going on here, I think at one point I would have said it probably would have been better for them to just be taken over by the Roman Catholic Church. But I don't even know if that's true anymore with all the stuff that's going on. England just needs to be Orthodox. So we gotta get more boots on the ground. Young Bob is a prominent English political activist. He does a lot of anti-Islam stuff. I mean, we got to get more guys like him. English Orthodox dudes. Yeah. How do I get so much wild news? I mean, I stay on top of it, man. That's really it. There's not a lot of people who keep their finger on the pulse. But this is stuff that I look into daily. I've looked into this stuff daily for years, right? So you can't say that, I'm uninformed when it comes to what's going on in the Roman Catholic Church or in these various Protestant denominations. A lot of people don't know. This is why people are comfortable. They see guys like Wagner. They see guys, that are a little more based, and they want to go into the Roman Catholic Church, and they're thinking, oh, this is going to be some kind of like trad institution or whatever. Look at all the stuff we've covered in this show. I'm not saying the Church of England story is them, but if you're apprised of what is going on, right, that wouldn't even be a thought in your head. Okay. Anemone, $5. Thank you for calling us out. That video with Voice of Reason with Roots of Orthodoxy was disgusting. Roots is despicable for doing this. Yeah, and he just had a video not that long ago calling out Ortho Bros. He said, you Ortho Bros are disgusting. You're filthy. That's basically what he said.
That's going to send you straight to hell, amen.
Thank you for the super chat. I almost barfed when I first saw this. His take was so outrageous, I seriously thought it was AI. Look at Root's face. Even he knows it was messed up. Yeah, that was a jacked up take for him to say, yeah, we need to engage in cover-up culture. Lord have mercy. Pray for every priest that goes on that show. I mean, it's a mess, dude. It is a mess, dude. Again, with that soundbite, that is from Nathan Rager, who I may have a discussion with about orthodoxy. So I might have him on the show at some point to discuss orthodoxy. If you'd like to see that, let me know. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can set something up. A polite discussion, not a debate. Just kind of getting his position and talking to him about, some of the things that, may sway him in that direction. Who knows? Who knows how that conversation will go? You never know how those things are going to go, but I try to keep it polite. All right. I'm going to get into the Suan Sonna news here. So I spoke about this. One thing that I've spoken about quite a bit on this show is the fact that the Roman Catholic Church venerates condemned heretics like Nestorius. I've spoken about that from as far back as even when I was a Protestant. This was something that I brought up all the time with the Syro-Malabar Church. I did a whole video. I think it's titled something like The Roman Catholics That Venerate Nestorius. All right. A lot of Roman Catholics deny this. They say, you don't know what you're talking about. This is complete fake news. But that is actually the case. There are Uniate groups, Oriental Uniate groups that are Nestorian that have come back into communion with Rome. The reason that they're able to do so is they really don't care what you believe so long as you kiss the ring of the Pope, so long as you're in communion with him, right? At this point, it's big tent operation. It doesn't matter. They're welcoming in Anglicans. that venerate Protestant kings as saints, and they're allowing them to continue to do so. They don't have to renounce any of them, right? So a lot of these kind of reconciliation groups or whatever, they're allowed to bring in whatever heresy they formerly held to, as long as they say, we're going to say we don't actually hold to that, but we're going to keep venerating these people that promulgate the heresy. So this was a discussion between Suan Sonna and Stephen Boyce, who is a recent Roman Catholic convert, was an Anglican, Anglo-Catholic guy. But this was on their video that was talking about Origen actually isn't a heretic, which is shocking in and of itself because he's condemned by ecumenical council. But this one, I said, I don't know why people don't believe me when I say this. Roman Catholics venerate Nestorius. Listen to what he has to say on this subject.
I don't know if most Catholics know this, but take Nestorius, for example. Okay. Take Nestorius, for example.
Yeah, right.
Do most Catholics realize there are people who are out of communion with Rome, who are back into communion with Rome, who through the approval of the Byzantine rite and practices are utilizing Nestorius's name in the consecrations and Mass every Sunday while being in full communion with the Pope?
That's right.
So for those of you that didn't catch that, Stephen Boyce is rightly calling out. He's saying a lot of Roman Catholics don't know this. There are Nestorian uniate groups in full communion with the Pope that utilize Nestorius's name. They commemorate Nestorius in the liturgy. This is what Stephen Boyce is saying. Suan Sonna. This is correct. Let's see what else he has to say about it.
I hope there's Catholics that just heard what I said. And if you go to those who are part of the Nestorius groups who came back into communion with the Pope, guess who is a saint in those groups who are now in full communion with the Pope? Nestorius. And he is at the consecrations of their Mass named. You go to a Novus Ordo Mass. You know who you hear? Linus, Anacletus, Sixtus, all these names. You know who's in that Mass? Then it even goes further. It talks about all these other saints who are martyred. You know who's at the Mass in a fully communed group with the Pope in this Eastern Rite? You know what name is listed in that consecration? Nestorius.
Yeah. And he smiles and he's agreeing. So one thing that he says they venerate Nestorius as a saint. They venerate Nestorius as a saint. This is the words that he's using here.
Nestorius groups who came back into communion with the Pope. Guess who is a saint in those groups who are now in full communion with the Pope?
Guess who's a saint in those groups who are in full communion with the Pope?
Nestorius.
And
he is at the consecrations of their Mass named. You go to no.
So they're commemorating his name in the liturgy. This is true. Okay. They have a liturgy that literally commemorates Nestorius. And in some of these groups, it's done more often. But in most of them, it's done once a year. I've covered this, at least in the Syro-Malabar Uniate groups. This is done once a year. But Stephen Boyce rightly points this out. He says they're in full communion with Rome. They're in full communion with the Pope. They venerate Nestorius as a saint. Suan Sonna nodding along, so on and so forth. This is something that we've called out quite a bit, actually, is that the unity offered by the papacy is nominal. It's just a surface level unity. It's just a name only, right? It's not actually unity of doctrine. It's not actually unity of any of these things. The argument that they're making in this video is that the same thing could be done for Origen. If the Pope is allowing these people to venerate a condemned heretic Nestorius, then the Pope should allow these people to venerate Origen. And he makes the case, he says, basically the Pope can unexcommunicate, uncondemn Origen if he so pleased, because the Roman Catholic system basically allows you, the Pope, basically infinite power. He could just, uncondemn whoever he wants, right? So when I say the Roman Catholics don't actually hold to the ecumenical councils, this is what I'm talking about, okay? This is what I'm talking about. We're talking about the anathemas here. We're talking about the anathemas of the ecumenical councils. Now, granted, they can make an argument. They could say, this is why you see Voice of Reason that says, Council of Ephesus erred in condemning Nestorius. That's a famous statement by Voice of Reason. This is why. This is why the Roman Catholics are almost forced to make that statement, because these Nestorian groups have come back into full communion with Rome. You know who attends one of these churches? Elijah Yassi. Elijah Yassi attends one of these churches that commemorate Nestorius. Any surprise there? These are in full communion with Rome. Elijah Yassi attends one of these Nestorian Uniate groups. Yeah. Yes. This was something that Father Stephen DeYoung called out in one of our live streams as well. So yes, these groups are in full communion with Rome. They commemorate Nestorius. In this live stream, they were arguing basically that Origen could be uncondemned if the Pope so deemed. And then he even says, and then he could give him titles like Doctor of the Church, so on and so forth. Well, this just shows that the papal system is completely arbitrary. But that was the argument they're making.
This order of Mass.
You know what? Maybe I'll pull up that video. We can look at that a little more, because that was such an insane video. This was if you want to look at this, I'm going to pull this up so you can actually look at the full text. So this is from Suan Sonna's, not text, full video. Suan Sonna's channel, Intellectual Catholicism. Okay, which video was this? Okay, here you go. Redeeming Origen with Stephen Boyce. This is the video here. Let me take this down so I can find. I want to find which part he was talking about this in. Let's take a look at this. Maybe because I want to. This was important. There was a lot of stuff discussed in here. They make claims that are just so. No Roman Catholic apologist is going to admit to this stuff, but this is actually the reality. And here you have, highly respected, scholar Suan Sonna. He's known for some of his responses to Gavin Ortlund. He was in this discussion with Stephen Boyce, and they're discussing Origen, they're discussing Nestorius, so on and so forth. Some of the statements they make are wild. I want to put this on 1.5, and we can take a look at what they have to say.
And it caught my eye when they were talking about how to view the Blessed Virgin. And the first church father, and if we can pull that up, that's great. The first church father that they referenced, they mentioned Saint this person, Saint this person, Saint this person. They mentioned Augustine. I think even John Chrysostom was in there. Saint Chrysostom, all listed. But the first one they listed, of course, they didn't put Saint in his name, but they used Origen. There it is. Please, can you read?
Who are they saying used Origen? Well, I'm going to go back a little bit. So they were like listing him among saints? Wait. I don't think I caught that the first time I watched this. Let me play this one more time.
The church, which is true, was widely revered by the fathers, also true, and it remains entirely possible he attained sainthood. I'm pulling for it. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I missed a bit. All right, I'm going to put this on normal speed so we can actually pay attention to what's being said, because this is wild.
The church. I think for me, what caught my attention was this Facebook post that you made where you were really making a strong apologetic for him. And so if you don't mind, do you mind if I read the post real quick, just for the audience to see?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't hold it against me in the audience, but please do.
All right, so here's what you wrote. You said, Origen was never universally condemned by a pope or an ecumenical council. Some of his teachings were later rejected by association.
So he holds the position that the canons condemning Origen are spurious. This is a position present in some Roman Catholic scholarly circles. So they'll claim that the direct anathemas of Origen himself are spurious, but the anathemas of Origenism are not, which is an absurd position to hold to. If you read some of Origen's writings, he says the Holy Spirit is created. It's insane.
Largely due to speculative Origenist followers, not a definitive judgment on Origen himself. He died in peace with the church, which is true, was widely revered by the fathers, also true, and it remains entirely possible he attained sainthood. I'm pulling for it. So there's a lot going on in that post, and I think it caught my attention. And so I want you to walk us through at least, what you're trying to get at. What's the ultimate apologetic you're making for Origen here?
I'm going to what prompted this was a recent Vatican document. And I've been
All right, so they're about to cite a Vatican document that lists a whole bunch of saints and puts Origin alongside them. So let's see what that document had to say.
I think it's been out for over a month now, Swan. I can't remember how long it's been on the co-redemptrix document that was sent by the Dicastery. And it caught my eye when they were talking about how to view the Blessed Virgin. And the first church father, and if we can pull that up, that's great. The first church father that they referenced, they mentioned saint this person, saint this person, saint this person. They mentioned Augustine, I think even John.
Okay, so he's going to say in this document that talks about the co-redemptrix stuff, talks about Origen's theology. So he's going to make an argument that since they are borrowing from some of Origen's theology to get rid of this term used, therefore, they just need to go ahead and make him a saint. So let's see what else he has to say about it, though, because some of the other statements he made were wild.
Later on.
Right.
And I'm sitting here going, he's the only one without saint in front of his name, but he's still being used in modern Vatican dicastery studies and documents to defend Orthodox and Catholic teachings that are relevant for the church today. So he must not be that bad, as you say, he must not be that bad if the Vatican is.
That's an interesting point. So the Vatican is using Origen's theology, somebody who's supposedly supposed to be a condemned heretic, but according to Stephen Boyce, not a condemned heretic, just his theology is condemned, right? It's like Nestorian. The Nestorius wasn't Nestorian. That's like the whole view. They try to separate the heretic from the heresy. What are they going to say? Arius wasn't Arian now? Like, that just seems to be the logical conclusion. But anyway, he's making the point. He's saying, look, they're using Origen's arguments to make their theology today. Why don't they just make him a saint?
Still utilizing his work to defend Orthodox Christianity and positions. And so it got me thinking, because I've always been surrounded by Origen. From even the time as I was a Baptist, it was critically of him. Of course, it wasn't in positive, but critically of him. And then as I did a PhD work in canonicity and textual criticism, well, about him positively, but he's not a saint. And is it possible, even if he was excommunicated, if he was excommunicated?
Okay, pay attention to this part. So he's saying, even if Origen was excommunicated, and he clarifies,
is it possible for that excommunication to be removed and granted sainthood? And the answer is yes. Even if he was, and I know that people are trying to say that he is, even if he was, all it takes is a pope to remove excommunication. And yes, popes can.
All it takes is a pope to remove. He's using the word excommunication, but basically the condemnation of Origen. He's saying all it would take would be for a pope to undo this decree by ecumenical council that is condemning Origen. All it would take is for the pope to say, doesn't count anymore. So it's a purely subjective system.
And remove excommunications from those who are dead. It's happened. It's happened in the Catholic history of the church. So, and here's the thing. What makes it even more ironic, Swan, is that if we're going to say that he was excommunicated from the church, it wasn't in his lifetime. So if you go into the post that I had, I stated that he died in the peace of the church. No, not with his bishop in Alexandria, but he did in the relation to the ecumenical side of the church. He did die in peace within the church. And if there was an excommunication, it was post-mortem. And so
if it's after his death, it don't count. Yeah, I don't know. Is that the argument being made here?
If he could be excommunicated post-mortem, he can be removed from excommunication post-mortem, which means he could be granted sainthood. We've seen popes do this all through the history of the church. It wouldn't be new. So that led kind of to the discussion. And then the second thing I said in there, Swan, was that fathers, something to the effect of fathers respected him. Fathers utilized him. And if we can, I'd like to talk about that for a minute, specifically how Origen paved the way for good dialogue and conversation.
All right, so you get the point. So he says all it would take would be the Pope saying that he's no longer condemned, and then he's good to go. And then he makes the comparison of these groups. It uses it as a apologetic. He uses the comparison of these Nestorian Uniate groups that Pope Leo has said, or not Pope Leo, that the Pope has said, you're good to come back in communion with us. You can even continue venerating, say, Nestorius. He uses the word saint, venerating him as a saint. This is the language that Stephen Boyce is using. Suan Sonna is nodding his head in approval. But he's using that as an apologetic. He's like, look, the popes have already done this with the people who venerate Nestorius. Why can't we do this with Origen? We can make him a doctor. We can make him saint. We can make him whatever we want. All it takes is the Pope to say yay or nay. So the Pope can undo decrees by ecumenical councils, apparently.
For Nicaea 1, and particularly on, and that he is not another essence or Athanasius just said, is that Origen was being cited on the side of the Catholics in John's gospel. Let no one take as expressive on his own sentiments, but of parties who are contending in investigation. The way he introduces his personal belief. And then
anyway, you get the point. I don't need to show any more of this. So basically, long story short, Stephen Boyce states what we already basically know. Syro-Malabar Uniates, some of these Oriental Uniates, have been received into the Roman Catholic Church in full communion with the Pope. They still venerate Nestorius in their liturgy. They revere Nestorius as a saint. I wanted to try to find that one point where he's tying these two apologetics together. I don't know if I can find that, though.
And he quotes his comment, basically say, wisdom is new.
Constantinople, too.
He seems to have some sort of influence. I'm not, and so Eusebius had concluded. So Origen's kind of a neutral person. He's, like I said, he had one.
That's right. He's like that uncle at the cookout who like usually has good takes, but then every once in a while he says something that sounds off, you know?
And the whole room's.
Origen is the one uncle at the cookout that has good takes, but every now and then he says something off, like condemned heresy.
Stops talking, and everybody looks over and says, "What did he just say?" Yeah, he's the crazy uncle of the. He's a crazy uncle of the church. I mean, that is Origen in a nutshell.
Yep. Well, Stephen.
All right. Anyway, you get the point. All right. Let me see if I have any other news to cover. I'm going to dive into some. I do believe I have some other stories to cover, but let me dive into some of these super chats. Journey of Abundance, $5. We appreciate your service. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate the support. JB, $5. I've 100% read ascetical books before recommending public admonishment for prideful and unrepentant brothers. Octavian, $10. How come you cross yourself as a Catholic, though? No, dude, it's over. It's over for me. My video is mirrored. It's over. This is my right side. This is my right side. Octavian, you're gonna drive me crazy. I know you're joking, but you're gonna drive me crazy. Good thing about being Catholic is that you get to celebrate Ramadan and Pride Month simultaneously. Lord of mercy. Well, you know, in that video that the last, or I don't know if it was this last Roman Catholic news video I did or the one before that, we were talking about some of the Novus Ordo parishes were celebrating pagan holidays. And this was one of the things that people were saying, because somebody was pushing this dumb notion saying you just need to go to your local Roman Catholic church. You don't need to drive to find a good one, because a lot of people know the Novus Ordo ones are just bonk, completely jacked up. So they're driving 2 hours to go to a TLM. They're driving an hour to go to a TLM, even though there's one super close to them. So they're saying, no, you just need to go to the close one. But people were sending pictures like the one next to me literally is celebrating pagan holidays. Why am I going to go there? You know what I mean? So that's not too far off. And I believe, did the Pope write some kind of letter saying like, congratulations to the Muslims for Ramadan? It's insane, dude. Henry Huge, $5. St. John of Damascus condemned Origen in against heresies. There you go. But according to some people, I guess he could just be a saint. Pope Leo just needs to wave his wand. Wool Weaver, or Wool Weather, sorry. $10. What's up, Cleve? Bless you, man. Practice Marvel Rival. I suck at that game. I was kind of bummed out. So for those of you that aren't aware, we did this stream not that long ago with Father Stephen DeYoung and a bunch of other people. I'll bring up the post I made. So we did this like super stream with Father Stephen DeYoung and a couple of other people. And we were playing Marvel Rivals, and I promoted it, and you know, we were gonna get some good viewership on this thing. It was gonna be nice, but unfortunately, we had some issues. Let me show you real quick. So I'm gonna pull this up. All right, so I did this stream. It had me, Father Stephen DeYoung, Mr. Big Chops, who's a guy from TikTok that I talk back and forth with. It had Jay, it had Fearless Truth, it had Alex Soren, and we're all playing Marvel Rivals, right? We lost. I suck at this game, but we won the first 2 games, I think, and then we lost the rest of them. But the problem was the stream on my end, the video is choppy the whole time. So I moved it to members. If you want to go watch the full video without nasty lag, go check it out on Father Stephen DeYoung's channel. He streamed the whole thing and it was fine. But for whatever reason, like my streaming software made the game stream super laggy and the audio levels were all jacked up. Look, I'll show you. So I moved it to members because it was just a mess. But let me see if I can pull up. I'll give you a little sneak peek of how bad this turned out on my end, which was really disappointing. Hold on. Let's see if I can. I'll show you how laggy this thing was because it looked horrible. So we weren't lagging, but my whole game screen was lagging and the audio levels were jacked. I was getting kind of worried there. Look at that. It's like I'm playing on a potato. And notice like you just hear like muffled like crazy noises and you can't hear us. Like the whole stream is just jacked up. So anyway, if you want to see it not messed up, go watch it on Father Stephen DeYoung's channel. He's got the whole stream, the whole collab stream with all 6 of us playing with the audio levels not terrible. Hanging fruit thing to say that you don't have to prove. Yeah. Because look, you can't even like hear us talking. Most of the audience doesn't understand it actually. But then you just hear like it's all sorts of messed up. So I'll have to mess around if I ever do some kind of gaming stream again, see what the issue is. It wasn't lagging on my end. It's just the stream came out jacked up. Streaming software can eat your CPU. Maybe. Boomer tech strikes again. Yeah, that could be the case. It could just be me. I mean, granted, I feel like I'll have to try it again with a different game. Maybe it's that game. Maybe if I just lower the quality or something, it'll work. I don't know. If I do another gaming stream, I'll test it out for members first before I make a public one. Because that kind of bummed me out that the quality was so garbage. It's almost unwatchable on my channel. So go check that out on Father Stephen DeYoung's for a full stream that wasn't jacked up. All right, let me see if I have any other news to cover. I had a bunch of stories bookmarked, but I don't know if I went through them all yet. Let me see if I missed any of these. I think I got all the main ones. But there's so much news. There's always like secondary stories where I'm like, is that even worth covering? I think that might be a good spot to leave it. Let's see. Muslim Hindu prayers included at prayer vigil at Roman Basilica. That's normal at this point. I don't even consider that news anymore. That happens so much, these stupid interfaith things where they're praying with Muslims and Hindus and stuff. That's not even news anymore. Pro-LGBT clerics give a pro-Skittles message. That's not even news anymore at this point. Let me see. Yeah. This isn't even news. Pro Skittles clerics never mention damaging effects of Skittles and transformerism. The church teaches that these are evil and sinful, but he's basically giving a homily about how you need to be accepting of these people, accepting of transformers, but he never mentions that it's sin. I mean, that's not even news at this point. I report on that like every single episode. Here's another thing. Alex Stein calling this out. U.S. Conference of Democrat Bishops strikes again. Recent post on Truth Social under President Donald Trump's name used a this is an archbishop calling out Trump for the monkey meme, where he accidentally sent that stupid video that was going around of Obama and Big Mike as the gorillas. There's a ho 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 ho. Oh, Donald Trump said they're a monkey. Like, it's so stupid. Like, who cares? Even if he did send it on purpose, who freaking cares, dude? A recent post under Truth Social, so this is them hand-wringing about it, under President Donald Trump's name, used a racist meme to depict the former President Barack Obama and his husband, Michael. It is very, that's not what he says, and his wife, Michelle. Is very disturbing that anyone, much less the President of the United States or his staff members, should see these racist memes as humorous. No laughing allowed. You're not allowed to laugh in the Roman Catholic Church. You have to be serious all the time. So no laughing. Don't laugh at these memes. All right. You cannot see these as humorous. Piety signaling. This is our religion. Religion of piety signaling. Or appropriate expressions of political discourse. Which, by the way, if you don't know, Trump said this was like an accident or something. It was at the end of a video or something, and he didn't realize it was there. They're deeply offensive and must be condemned in the strongest terms. I don't know if he even apologized. I think he just said, you guys are dumb. Stop whining about it. I didn't follow that story because the story was so stupid. I join my voice to the many, calling for a public apology with full acceptance of responsibility. And I also bristle at claims from the White House that the rage many of us feel is fake. We're super serial and super angry about this. Beyond the necessary apology, I also believe we must all examine our conscience individually and collectively. We need to recognize and acknowledge how prevalent racism continues to be in our society and commit ourselves to vigilance in counteracting its harm. So you're big racist meanie, Orange Man bad, Smoky Man bad, Jay Dyer bad, Cleave to Antiquity bad, all of this stuff, this piety signaling nonsense. This is what you get in the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church. A stupid post where the president accidentally includes an AI-generated picture of Obama as a monkey, where the entire video is like a bunch of political characters of like that are different animals or whatever. It's just stupid. This is the stuff that they take their time calling out. But you know what they don't call out? They don't call out Catholic charities literally being funded by Epstein and the Virgin Islands. They don't call any of that out. They cover it up. They're engaging in cover-up culture of that. But a stupid AI video the president shares, this is number one priority. This is our number one priority. We're going to piety signal this. We're going to condemn this. We're going to call this out. But we're going to be hush-hush about, receiving millions of dollars from Epstein to fund children's getaways in the Virgin Islands, these youth camps that are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Epstein's private island. We'll be super quiet about that. But this, the monkey meme, this has got to go. You're racist, dude. This has got to go. As Catholics, we believe every person is made in the image and likeness of God. The sacred truth compels us to treat every human being with dignity, respect, and love. We must recommit ourselves to vigilance, yada, 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 yada. And of course, I agree, right? I agree. I'm not, I don't hate anybody of any other race, right? I do. There's a bunch of freaking differences, of course, but I don't hate anybody of a different race, right? It's stupid. But the problem is, it's the piety signaling of a stupid joke where that wasn't even the point of the joke. The joke or the video was something completely different. And at the end of the video, it had this stupid AI image of Obama as a monkey or something. Oh, I think I remember what Trump said. Trump said it was like it was one of his people had posted it or something. It wasn't him. So anyway. Yeah. I left the moment I read that. Yeah, these guys shouldn't be on the internet. What are they even doing? I have no idea, dude. It's just a huge mess at this point. All right, so that's all the Roman Catholic news of the week. Tomorrow, I've got a show that I'm going to be doing with, let me pull this up. I'll show you my upcoming streams. Tomorrow, I've got Buck Johnson coming on the show. We're going to talk about Zionism. We'll be reacting to some of the recent statements by President Netanyahu, some of his pushback against the U.S., and some of the things that he's going to be doing to fight anti-Semitism. Okay, so that's what his whole new thing is going to be. We're going to show how they use Christian evangelical institutions to push Zionism, and we will be breaking down exactly why Zionism is condemned, why you cannot hold to this proposition. On Thursday, Father Ron returns. Fan favorite, Father Ron, Orthodox priest, is going to be returning to talk about real presence in the Eucharist, and we'll be responding to a couple of needgod.net videos talking about the Eucharist. We'll also be responding to a couple of prominent Pentecostal pastors that have this idea that you could do the Eucharist at home. We're going to talk about those subjects and break them down. Father Ron has some gems to share with us. The 24th, I'll have a journalist from the UOJ come on the show to talk about Russia, Ukraine. So that'll be interesting. And then the 26th is the big show. This is the big show to look forward to. The 26th, Hangman Lee, political commentator who is discerning orthodoxy, is going to be coming on the show, and I will have Jay Dyer on, and we're going to talk about his discernment of orthodoxy, his inquiry. We'll be answering some of his questions, his concerns. We'll talk to him about where he's at, and we're going to basically just be discussing what's leading him away from Protestantism and why he's leaning in that direction. Now, he hasn't made any decision yet, but the whole purpose of the show will be to answer his questions. That's why I have a knowledgeable apologist on and that type of thing. So we'll be talking to him, which, by the way, Kangman Lee was just on Timcast, by the way. If you don't know who I'm talking about, let me just pull up that show. So this was, Kangman Lee was just on Timcast the other day. I'll show this on my screen. Let me pull it up real quick so you know who we'll be talking with on the 26th. Bro, he does so many shows. Okay, here you go. This is the show. Kangman Lee was just on Timcast not that long ago. So he's going to be coming on our show to talk about orthodoxy. This was a show here. Dang, son, 125,000 views. 3 days ago, he was just on Timcast. Kangman Lee. So this guy, this cool fella, who has an awesome X page, by the way. If you don't follow Kangman Lee on X, go follow him right now because he posts some like top quality content. But anyway, he's going to join us on the 26th on my show. Jay's going to be there, and we're basically just going to be talking to him about orthodoxy. So very, very based. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching the show. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all tomorrow when I have Buck Johnson on the show. So thank you so much for watching. God bless. Oh, by the way, is there anybody live? Let me send you guys to somebody. I know that Jay has a debate at 9 on the Crucible. So go watch that. I can't send you that early. But is there anybody streaming right now I can send y'all to? Let me see. Because I always do that. I always forget to send y'all somewhere. Let me know. Sniffers, roll out. Oh, is DPH live? There you go. Let me do that. Give me 1 second. Redirect. All right, cool. All right, I'm going to send you all over to DPH. Let them know I sent you, DPH Raid. Make sure to check out the Jay Dyer debate tonight. Let me pull that up on the screen real quick just to give him a quick plug. This will be on the Crucible, I believe. One moment. Yep, right there on the Crucible. Let me share this on my screen. So if you haven't already, go ahead and make sure to hit the bell for this debate right here. Gnostic Informant versus Jay Dyer, debating monism versus orthodoxy. This will be tonight in about 45 minutes. So if you want to go check out that debate, go show our brother some love, some support in the Crucible. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and send you over to DPH at Church of the Eternal Logos. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.